Why do you always hijack the JQ Racing rant and talk about irrelevant stuff?
It's not irrelevant because these guys have a really
look,
good health.
The fact that you're on this, it's the whole thing's irrelevant. So it was way more relevant when you were fucking off, scared to talk to me because you don't want to be around.
I was never scared to talk.
You know what?
It's just that I wasn't available, and I guess he had you on.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed, Nitro is the glory, but E-Buggy pays the bills. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast. This is episode number 38. I'm your host, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and this week our guest, we have two guests. We have a good friend of mine that I've gotten to know over the last year or so. I met him at AMS last year. He's a young guy working hard in the industry. He's trying to do it. He's living his dream, going to school. He's racing a lot. He just recently came back from the Nationals where he had a respectable 50th finish. He's getting ready for the 10 scale Nationals. He also went down to Puerto Rico to race. Really a good kid. And I hate to call him a kid because he seems and talks and acts much older than what he is. But when I found out he was only 20 and just went 20, I was shocked. He's very much mature than his age suggests. So this week, I guess it's like a future of RC, but he's also a badass painter in the industry. He's also one of the founding members of the Positive RC movement founded on Facebook. And I like to call him Captain Kyosho because he's a pure Kyosho fan. My good friend Enzo Albertoni, he also has probably the coolest name in RC. So Enzo comes on, talks about his time in RC and the Positive RC movement painting. You know, what he likes, what he wants to see change in the industry as a young guy looking, wanting to not be somebody, but wanting to be a part of the industry. He also tells us about, the RC scene up there in the Northeast, which is very healthy. Actually, this podcast is pure Northeast because then we have my buddy Kevin Lachaplle, who was a part of they had the Quebec Classic recently here, or last weekend. So he comes on to talk about that. That's a race that, it's on a badass track, but I don't think it gets as much promotion as it should. It has in previous years, but they do a great job up there. And on the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight, we have Jay Zellner, who's also from the Northeast. So just keeping it Northeast this episode. The Rant is back. It's myself, Joseph, and Jay and Jeff. And yeah, it's pretty good. Also, the rants are getting better, I think, and it's always fun to do. Before I go on any further, I would like to say thank you to all of the No Name RC podcast listeners or the hashtag NNRC squad from around the world. This podcast is getting listened to in, I think now it's over 60 countries worldwide. I'm getting messages. Send me more messages. Like, I like talking and meeting new people that are into RC. I love meeting people. I love talking to people. So if you guys want to send me a message and just say what's up, if you want to hear something on the podcast, just shoot me a message. That's not a problem. We can't do it without you guys, all the listeners, man. So remember to continue to listen, to like and share this podcast because without you guys, it's not possible and we want it to grow. I like to say shout out to our sponsors. First off, Euro RC, just RC, no bullshit. Euro RC is our title sponsor. Thank you for coming on board. Remember, guys, all these sponsors, well, besides Bipolar and Techno, but you could just tell them that I sent you and you'll get a discount. These sponsors have promo codes in the written description of this podcast. So if you want to save some shingles, use that promo code. Showing our sponsor some love shows the podcast love. So Euro RC, RCMX Online, the fastest growing news media site for 8-scale off-road or just off-road period. Shout out to Techno RC for coming on. Thank you to Danny and Matt. I need to get both of those guys on this podcast. Matt has a really good story He's a really good manager, works hard, and I would love to talk to Danny and find out how Techno started as well. So that's definitely in the works. Thank you to Techno RC for coming on and sponsor the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. Obviously, Assault RC through Brent Densford, Beach RC for the Invisible Speed segment. Thank you to Bipolar Designs, Jason Darling out of El Paso. No promo code for them. Just tell them you heard us on the No Name RC podcast and Lefty sent you, and Jason will get you covered. He's producing some badass decals out of El Paso. So you want to get some stuff done, go check them out. BK Servos. They have the servos in stock for 8 scale purposes and 10 scale purposes. Now, I believe you get 15% off if you use the promo code for No Name RC Podcast. It's in the written description, so save yourself some money and go support BK Servos, please. Shout out to 454 RC Works, my buddy Clint Treadway, for his support. You know, he's pushing out some 3D projects out of Texas. He's working hard. He's getting some carbon fiber bits. I know he's going to start doing aluminum stuff as well soon. Aluminium, as Joseph would say. So go check him out and show him some love. We actually did a giveaway, and I have to get the guy's address who won that. Yeah, race-wise, we did have some racing this weekend. The guys, we had the Border Wars race, which is the race between the Colorado, Texas, and New Mexico guys. The JQ Racing family did well. Shout out to my JQ Racing family around the world. Jimmy DePrez, I think, finished third. Mike and Jeff, father and son, they did well. And I believe Mike and DJ made Truggy, Mike, the Viking, and I have a few friends who I call Vikings, and DJ, the party guy. Great guys out of New Mexico. They have a good thing going there. I like the race scene there as well in that area. Got to get to Colorado one day. Got to get up to Colorado. Yeah, maybe we'll go through Colorado when Mike and I drive the janky JQ van from Charlotte to California in October. I've never done the 70. I hope the weather's good enough. I want to go up through the Rockies, see that, stop in Colorado. Hopefully my buddy will be there. I'll meet some of these guys that listen to the podcast there. But I definitely would like to go through the Rockies on this trip. I don't think it would be too snowy at that time of the year. We shall see. Because the janky JQ van is going across America again. Me, myself, and Mike Hill are going to drive it. Well, Mike will probably drive. He doesn't trust my driving. So he'll drive all the way, and I'll just sit there and talk. Yeah, that's what I do best. Yeah, Border Wars, we had... I want to shout out to Austin Shacklett. I think it's called 454 Raceway. It's in Texas. They had the RC Pro race there this weekend. Man, this guy is working his ass off. He's got some nice, it looks like some really great dirt. He got a whole bunch of new dirt in. He bust his ass to make this badass track. I'm not exactly sure where he is in Texas, but somebody that listens to this podcast will know. If you guys want to go see a nice track and help a guy that's just trying to, produce some of the baddest ass tracks and just have people come race, go check out his Facebook page, 454 Raceway. I'm not sure if that's it, but his name Austin Shacklett. He's putting a lot of work into his track, and they had a great race there this past weekend for RC Pro. So congratulations to those guys. What other race news do we have? I think now, like, the season, I would say, is coming to a close. Not to a close, but, summer's almost over. Kids are going back to school. Yeah. So I think we got the 10 scale nationals coming up. We got Wicked Weekend this weekend. We got the 10 scale nationals. Wicked Weekend track looks badass as well. I think that's gonna, entries were looking a little bit low, but I think when they see that track, people are gonna just drive down and go race this weekend. Then we have 10 scale nationals the week after. We have the Worlds coming up in September, which we talk about in the Rant this weekend. And then, of course, we have the RCGP race, which I'm excited because I'm going to now, and I'm going to be a part of the production, which is going to be pretty cool. A first time for me. Hopefully I don't mess it up. We're going to try and do some awesome live, like Pulp MX style podcasts from there. So, yeah, it should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Let me get a hold of Joseph, see what's up with him. We had a few questions I wanted to talk about, like that people were asking in one of our posts Some of them were setup questions, but those I kind of saved for the Invisible Speed setup segment of the podcast. But some of them were just industry questions. Let me call up Joseph. He's all excited. He won a race this weekend. You know, miracles do happen. So let me call him up. I'm sure he's on cloud 9 after actually winning something. All right, give me a second. What's up, Joseph? How are you?
I'm okay.
What are you listening to in the background? Like some soul-soothing,
some YouTube.
soul-searching type of calm your nerves type of music?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna call, so I had to calm my nerves.
No, you've been having a lot of fun with me. I'm so honored that you put my picture with a poop emoji character in front of it as your profile picture. Like, I'm so
Actually,
honored.
there was another picture there, but the backlash was too strong.
Wow, I made you take it down.
I'm quite disappointed actually in the backlash.
I made you
So
take
I
it
had
down.
to change it.
Yeah, so because I made you take it down, you went and put my picture up there with a poop emoji. It's okay. It's all right. It's like you're like my little brother. So now when I see you, I'm definitely going to slap you.
It's an improvement. I think it's a distinct improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But it even fools myself. Like, I read my own comment thinking it's you. It's like, what is this idiot posting? Oh shit, that's me.
Yeah, you dumbass. So what's up? How's things in Finland? You went to a race. You won a race this weekend.
I did. So this is the thing. I had to put up with Max's bullshit for the whole European tour. I have to put up with you continuously, saying how I'm never gonna beat Max again, and I'm too old, and I suck, and all this. So I was just driving back, and Max said he can't remember the last time I won a race in Finland. And I said, well, actually, I don't remember either.
Yeah, you should be winning these races.
So that pissed me off, and I decided that I was going to win. See, that's all it takes. I just decided. I'm like, listen, I'm going to kick everyone's butt at this race. I'm going to win. I don't care. I'm just going to win. I just decided that.
And
it happened.
Well, how was the competition level? Were there fast guys there besides Max?
Everyone was there.
Una Hattinen was there. Pekko was there.
Yeah, he was there. Pekko was there. Jona was there. Ari was there. Max was there.
So well, congratulations! You won a race.
It was actually a really fun race. I did it. Max DQ'd. Max had a problem in the semifinal. He flamed out after the first pit stop, I think. Or did he?
He's something
happened in the semifinal.
He ran out of fuel or something.
I had a terrible semifinal. I made a bunch of mistakes. I had really bad luck also with traffic. But I started second in the main, and Max started third or fourth. And the first 3 laps were awesome. So we battled, Ari, me, and Max, exchanging positions this way and that way. That was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rare that we get good races in Finland like that. So when we do, I have to cherish them. So
this is you're like on a timeout for a little while. There's no RC for you for a bit. You are doing a Facebook Live today, which is good to see. Get back to that. Can you stop ruffling around whatever you... Jesus, man.
What? I'm not doing anything.
You are. Like, you're really, like, all this static coming from the mic.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, at least you ain't wrenching or doing something silly like you usually are. Like, no respect for the podcast whatsoever.
I need to send an email here.
Yeah. So, yeah, nothing really much for you until RCGP. It's confirmed Mike and I are going to drive the janky JQ van from Charlotte to California. And then we're going to hang out in California with you for a little bit. I was just saying prior to this, we're going to try and do like a Pulp MX Steve Mathis type podcast, live podcast at the RCGP on Friday and Saturday night. So that should be pretty cool. Yeah, excited about that, man. I'm really excited to be coming to the RCGP. Finally get to see one. I've been talking about them all this time, and I finally get to see one. So
yeah, and you get to see one that's full.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
You know what's so funny about that? There's amazingly like of all the information out there, there's still people that just have things completely wrong and don't have a clue, and they just spout out at the mouth, and they don't know what they're talking about. So It's funny, but it's definitely growing. The atmosphere, the excitement around it is great. I mean, I've been getting messages. People's like, "Well, how would I know when I'm going to be off the waiting list and be able to be at the race?" So we'll see. Payments go out this week, and you have to the end of the month to pay. So, yeah, good stuff. And still, no idea about the spec tire, right? You're probably not going to reveal that till later on.
It's going to be Proline.
Oh.
Proline Buckshot S3.
Really? Pre-mounted, right?
Pre-mounted.
So just
$35 a set.
$35 a set. One set per day.
Yeah.
Except main day where you can have... Is it...
Yeah, so how it works is there's 3 rounds of free practice on the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So for those 3 rounds, you can run your own tires, whatever tires. You can run on wheels, no tires if you want. Mm-hmm. We don't care. But then from the 4th round, so the 4th time you hit the track you have to be on marked control tires. Because the 4th time you hit the track, that's a seeding practice round.
Okay.
So on Friday, you run 5 times. 3 free practice where you can run any tire. And then 2 seeding practice where you have to run a control tire purchased from RCGP and marked by RCGP.
Okay.
So Friday, you can, if you want, you can also get a control tire from RCGP just for free practice. But then you can't run that set in the race.
Okay, you have to run brand new sets.
Yeah, so seeding practice, if you want, you can just run the same set in free practice and then go into seeding practice on a used set. That's fine.
Okay, but
for the race, you're allowed 1 set on Friday, 1 set on Saturday, and then 1 set per main on Sunday. So you can start off your day on a new set, and then if you bump, you can get an additional set.
Mm-hmm.
So how many sets? That depends on how many times you bump.
Yeah.
Because we're running the Christmas tree format.
Mm-hmm. Good
and
stuff.
Then anyone who makes the A main, they get a free set of tires. So then it doesn't end up being a situation where someone makes the main but doesn't really want to buy a new set of tires. So we give all the A main finalists a free set of tires, so everyone's on new tires.
Yeah, all right. That's good. So now the tire's been revealed, people know what it's gonna be. So that makes, and $35 for 4 tires is good. I mean, we're gonna talk about that in the rant about the 10 scale worlds that's coming up and the price of tires. But yeah, I think that's great. And if you make the main, you got a free set. Did you see the poll? Oh man, like I think Ryan Lutz is the most popular RC racer in the world, I would say.
Yeah, but you omitted some drivers there.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't you?
Yeah, not really.
Why was that?
Who did I omit?
Let me see. Where did you post this?
On Facebook.
On RCGP or?
RCGP.
Okay.
But
so Lutz is winning from Mayfield.
Yeah, Lutz has like 650 votes.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive that many people took time out to just vote.
Well, the sad thing, actually, I think it's pretty sad. It's so lame, to be honest, is that some companies don't allow their drivers to race RCGP, not even as wildcards.
Yeah.
Even if they go on their own dime. I think that's pretty lame.
Yeah.
They should let their drivers race. Just like Berton wins the Euros, wants to do RCGP. He's all excited about it. Kyosho says no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, Kyosho doesn't let their drivers go. Then, I heard that Mugen told Robert he couldn't go, but he went anyway.
Yeah.
Mugen and J Concepts both said that Mayfield shouldn't do RCGP. So Mayfield isn't going to go. Mayfield would be fine doing RCGP, but I guess J Concepts and Mugen don't like that idea. Who else? Lutz wants to do it, but he's not going to get any support from any of his sponsors to do it.
But you never know.
Yeah, I mean, he might still do it. They haven't, as far as I know, they haven't told him he can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I think
it
that's
comes
pretty lame.
Yeah, but I think their excuse would be they can't run their decals, But I want to explain something to people about that because we kind of got a lot of flack from Mugen and the first race with Ahara and whatnot. The reason for that is simple. It's pretty simple. It's just not fair to the other companies that have put in the money, put in the effort to be a part of this. And let's be realistic. Like everybody bloody well knows that Mayfield drives a Mugen, that Berton, okay, maybe not everybody knows because a lot of people don't know Berton in America, but knows that he drives Kyosho. They know what cars these guys drive. That would be like that. You know what I compare that to? That's like when we did what in 2018 when you went overboard with the JQ takeover stickers, right? And Joey said to you, if you sponsored us, you could put stickers wherever you want, and you could put banners up and all that type of stuff. And you know what? We did. We sponsored it the next year. Well, this year. We sponsored it, got 55 banners made. I know because I went and picked them up. We finally got them all put up, and we sponsored the event, and nobody can complain about the JQ takeover at that time. So it comes down to, it's not that, like, for me, I've told you, like, hey, just let them run their decals. But it's not fair to Beach RC, who's paid their entry fee. It's not fair to S-Works, HB, Infinity, and all these other companies that have paid to be a part of the RCGP. It's just not fair to them. That's how I look at it.
Well, yeah, it's really simple, actually. It's just no one else enforces anything like this, so it's unique in the industry. But just imagine you go to, let's say I went to what's a race coming up here? Let's say I go to the next Worlds in Brazil, okay? And I bring banners with me, and I just hang them around the track. I just hang JQ Racing banners all around the track.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Would that be okay?
No, of course not. No,
I think someone would be, hey, what are you doing?
Of course.
You can't advertise here. You haven't sponsored the race.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing. We're trying to do something new and different, and to be able to do it, to be able to have this series with a website and professional media coverage and joining outside events, we need to have money to do that. Mm-hmm. So companies have to come together. They have to support the series, and then we'll be able to eventually do all the things we set out to do.
You know what?
And because of that, we have to have some requirements. We have to be like, okay, so if you support the series, then you get exposure. If you don't, then you can't. I mean, if we could, it would be something like, if you don't support the series, then your products can't be used in it. Like J Concepts, you don't want to support it? Okay, then no one's going to be able to run J Concepts tires.
No, you can't do that.
But we can't do that because then no one would be running in the series if we did that. There aren't enough companies that are supporting. But what we can do is say, look, you can run your products, but you just can't promote them. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair to everybody involved, especially the people that have put money into it. And good stuff. Enough about RCG.
Yeah, and also the brand registration is just $1,200. That's $100 a month. Now, every single company out there can afford that. So if they decide not to support the series, then that's on them, I feel. Mm-hmm. Seriously.
Well, we paid what, $1,500?
If you watch the videos, if you think that it's a good idea, but you can't find $100 a month to support it, then really you shouldn't complain.
Well, I mean, we paid what, $1,500 to sponsor DNC plus the banners. Yeah. You know, then
$600
exactly.
We had to provide the banners too, and they didn't even hang all of them up. Right?
So,
really.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is, man. Nothing's like it's true, but I'm excited to see who's gonna be. But you know what this shows me, and if the manufacturers aren't paying attention to this, then they're blind. There is definitely interest on there. I mean, that poll I calculated today. I looked at the numbers, and it's got to be almost 2,000 people have voted so far. Maybe just shy of 2,000. And if that doesn't show you that there's interest in this, then you're blind. You know, there's companies are getting, maybe it's not a lot, but just from that one little poll, those companies are getting exposure. Those drivers are getting exposure. But Lutz is still way ahead. I hope he does. I mean, Lutz is one of the only guys that has beat Ongaro up front this year. You know, like okay, we can say that he probably went out on the wrong tires, but let's beat him fair and square. At Mayfield, have beat him fair and square. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting. I expect Beach RC to make their announcement anytime soon. Talking to Brent, and I'm excited about the whole thing, man. I'm excited. I can't wait. Going back to Cali. All right. Well, we beat the dead horse about RCGP enough. People, we do talk about that. I do have a few questions that people wanted to ask, and I thought that would be cool to do. I kind of want to do them as Jeff as well, but I can't really get a hold of him. So I don't know. Maybe we'll just do them with you. But I know one of the biggest questions was by Isaac. He said, "Did you realize how much more drivers you will get if you made a truggy?" And then we went in a conversation after that on the post about how much I said, well, we would need to sell 200 right off the bat, to even break even. So I think that's a good subject to touch on real quick. People think that making these cars is just as easy as that. Like, you know what I mean? Just like, hey, yeah, I want to make a truggy. Yeah, well, truggies need bigger arms, longer arms. So you have to make molds for those arms. Molds aren't cheap, and then we're not even talking about chassis and everything else that's needed to make a truggy in a class that's really only popular in America. I mean, it is raced in different pockets around the world. I know they race it in Australia, they race it a bit in Asia, South America, but I mean, the biggest place that the most truggies they run is in America, and it seems to be only at bigger races. So what do you think about that? Like if I said to you, hey, you should just make a truggy, tell me why it's hard to make a truggy.
It's not hard to make a truggy. It's just not worth it because our sales figures don't justify it. Mm-hmm. We need a new buggy. We need a new buggy before we make a truggy.
Yeah. I mean...
So maybe after we release a new buggy one day, then we can look at releasing a truggy if it hasn't died off, which I hope it does. But having a truggy is good because in America people tend to want to run the same buggy and truck, as they call it now, even if they only run it twice a year. Mm-hmm. Let's say they only run their truck at DNC and Silver State or DNC and the Nationals. They still want to have a brand that they have a truck and a buggy. So having a truck we would sell some of them, but we would also sell more buggies because we have a truck. So yeah, it does make sense to have, just doesn't make sense to make it now.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about molds? Like, how much does a mold cost? Like, to just do arms and stuff like that? Because it's not cheap.
I think probably the cheapest you can get molds is probably $3,000 to $5,000, and then more expensive ones, I mean, they could be anywhere up to like $20,000 probably. Mm-hmm. So yeah. All
right, cool. I have another question from Joe Zaire Jr., and I was listening to his podcast this weekend. You guys can always go check it out, Run Out of Talent. And he's asked this question before, and he goes, I want to know what's the margin on tires. As a guy that isn't a discounted customer or sponsored, as some put it, I am paying a reasonable amount for tires, or am I taking it in the butthole?
I think tires is one of the few, I can't say, I don't know enough about the accessories market really, but one of the few areas in RC where the margins are good. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily for the hobby shops, retailers, but I think for the manufacturers they're good. And one kind of proof of that is AKA, because as badly as they've run that business for a few years here, mm-hmm. and they're still in business, I mean, that's proof to me that they must be making money on their tires. Seriously. I mean, if you're a chassis brand and you were to run your company by not replying to emails and not even fulfilling the orders you get, just because like you don't care enough, I guess, mm-hmm. or you're lazy, then you wouldn't be in business anymore.
Yeah.
So that's my superb theory of why I.
How much you think a set of tires is costing out the
they're
door?
making good. I don't exactly know.
I would say between under $10 for 4. Got to be
for a set
Yeah.
with wheels and foams.
with firms. I'd say.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say so.
I don't know. I'm sure we'll never ever.
I would say it's less than $10.
Yeah, we'll never know truly, but unless we start making tires. Okay, Will Smith. I don't know what zoo racing is. Well, he says with zoo racing proving that wind tunnel testing works, do you see more body and chassis manufacturers designing more bodies? I always mess these questions up. Hold on. Will says, with zoo racing proving that wind tunnel testing works, do you see more body and chassis manufacturers designing using this aspect to further development to the next level? Basically,
Who proved that wind tunnels work?
he's zoo racing. I don't know who they are. I should have probably researched that. Will Smith, tell me who zoo racing is. It might be. Let me Google that real quick.
For 8-scale buggies, the body doesn't make much of a difference. I don't care what anyone says. You can take your body off and go run and do the same lap times. Like, yeah, you'll feel a difference, but it's nothing major. It's not a big deal. Wings make a noticeable difference. Bodies,
Zoo racing is a
not a big deal.
Zoo racing is a performance RC. It looks like an on-road. It's on-road mostly, and they make bodies for on-road. So I can see where that makes a difference.
The body and the wing makes a huge difference. 8-scale buggy is not so much.
Okay.
We've got big shocks and the shock tower up front messes everything up.
Okay. Now, all right.
With the body there, you just make it look good and good engine cooling and access to the tank.
Okay.
That's more important than downforce on the body.
All right. We're going to take a few more questions, sir. This is from Trent. Trent's going to Wicked Weekend. Trent Walker. He's going to Wicked Weekend this weekend. I think he's already there. He's been there since Sunday. He says, and I know he's big on this because he doesn't like it. He says, do you think RC drama adds more interest to the sport, or do you think the drama is hurting the sport?
I think drama's awesome. Gets eyeballs on it and people talking.
I think on the track drama's great. You know, when people, frustrations brewing over all the other BS that goes on, like, all the that we hear about and we don't really talk about. Yeah, I don't really care about that too much, but definitely like to see like what happened at RCGP with you and all that stuff. It makes it exciting.
Yeah, I think as long as it's the kind of drama that has a point to it or truth to it, then it's good. When it's just like shit founting, making stuff up, and that's boring. That's lame.
Yeah.
When it's real drama, then it's good.
Okay. Joe talked about this on his podcast the other day, and I saw these bodies as well, and I asked you about it. John Bolton says, a painter posted 2 Serpent 8-scale bodies with a Cavalieri paint scheme. Is this rumors? Now, I believe Larry painted these bodies, Larry Genova. I asked Jeff about it, and he said, basically, they're for somebody who wanted a scheme like Cavalieri. But I can see how these rumors can start, because we both know that Serpent was one of the front runners in right up until he signed with S-Works with his 8-scale program this year. Hello?
Yeah.
So I just he's just asking about that, and I'm answering that they were for somebody else, not for Cavalieri. But I can easily see how those rumors can be spread. People are excited, man. People, silly season's coming up too. So yeah, good stuff. All right, Sam Daimlo. You just blew that whole question. Like, you were supposed to go into that. That was so dry. Like, I was expecting a whole. Well, we know that he went. That was boring. I was expecting.
What, on Cavalieri?
Yes. Jesus.
It's not going anywhere.
Anyway, Sam Daimlo. He's from England, Isle of Wight. I've talked to him. He actually has to catch a ferry and go racing at the Nationals. He goes to I like to know when and why you would use emotion or bladder shocks. I think we've covered this before, but.
Yeah, we've covered this before.
Yeah. All right. Well,
You know, if you want to know that, you have to go on the JQ Racing page.
yeah.
Go on the quagrain.com, the blog, and search for emulsion or it's probably let's Google. You know what? Let's try this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google.
Can you Google
JQ emulsion?
So the big news.
There we go. Go on Google and type in JQ emulsion. There you go. There's your answer.
You know what the other big news was this week? And like, Hoodie releasing a tin can. Did you see that?
Yeah, I missed that.
Well, I think, we all know that Hoodie is like RC cars is their side business, their hobby.
You know what that's for?
I was going to ask you, what's that for?
It's for when you take pictures of yourself, you put your glasses in there.
That round tin?
Yeah. I haven't seen it. You just said it was a tin.
Yeah, it's a round tin.
I don't know.
It looks
but
like...
I have a theory that you can't trust people who take their glasses off for pictures.
We're talking about a tin.
Like they're hiding something.
We're talking about a tin.
The hoodies all do that, and now LRP Jürgen also does that. I'm going to have to pay close attention to what he's up to.
Anyway, it seems to me like they had a whole bunch of these little tins left over in the other factory. And it was like, how can we make money off this? Let's slap a Hoodie logo on there and make it look all pretty and charge $10. People will buy it. That's what it looked like to me. And then, like, J Concepts kind of went, oh, well, we can one-up you. Let's get our pencil cases, like the old canvas pencil cases with a zip bag. They actually were, I think they were teasing them. I saw the post yesterday. Like, look how much stuff we can fit in our pencil case with J Concepts on there. So, hey, man, Hoodie's got all this potential to be innovative and all this stuff, and they're making tin cans for parts.
That's not all they make.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
You aren't very happy about this tin can.
I don't, because it's like people were teasing it, like, like a lot of Americans, a lot of people chew tobacco, right? So it's like, it's a dip can, and then people would tease them, and they were like, got some brand new used dip cans here, like $5 cheaper than the Hoodie dip can. So like, I mean, they could be doing all this stuff like a freaking tin can with your logo on it. I wonder how many. I bet you people buy it though. Luxury tin can. There you go. Luxury tin can. All right, let's go on to. That's enough. Do you have any news you want to talk about?
No, I haven't followed any news.
You're about as useful as, I don't know. You are as useful to me as tits on a bull. That's how useful you are this weekend. Anyway. All right. Well, let's go on to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment.
Okay. If you insist.
All right.
You are now locked in to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. Check out AssaultRC.com for the latest products for all your performance RC needs. Featuring the best lubes and specialty tools on the market. Use promo code LEFTY19 at checkout for 10% off your entire order at AssaultRC.com.
So, welcome to the Assault RC Invisible Speed segment. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to your setup questions. Got a setup question for JQ? Want to stump him? Ask us. So, this question comes from my good buddy Chris Nunez. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Chris. He had a question about raising gearboxes. Now, I know this is something you done on the Black Edition car, but what is the reason for this?
Raising gearboxes.
Yeah, like with a shim, like what we did.
Okay. Well, if you just put a shim under the gearbox, raise the gearbox, you do nothing. You love the chassis, basically. And that's stupid, so don't do that. What you need to do is you basically want to raise the diff. That's what you want to do.
Right.
So on the Black Edition, what we did was raise the gearbox with a shim and then lowered everything else back down. So the shock tower positions and the arm holders and all that stuff. So if you do that, then effectively what you're doing is you're raising the diff. That's a gypsy way of raising the diff because you can't only raise the diff.
What is the reasoning for this?
Well, what that does is the higher the diff sits in the car, the lower the natural ride height of the car wants to be. So with the drive shaft straight, the higher the diff in the car, when the drive shafts are straight, the lower the ride height will be. So that's typically a good thing, especially on high bike tracks, I found. Raising the diff, when we went to the Black Edition, what happened when we raised the diff was you could run the car lower, and also the car felt more stiff, harder. It didn't want to roll as much. It was more stable on power. So that's really why we ended up doing it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. One day I want to have a car where I can adjust diff height, and then I can figure out combinations of, okay, raising just the front, lowering just the front, raising just the rear, lowering the rear, raising and lowering the diffs on different tracks, and then really figure out what the best combinations and what the best setting is on different tracks. But for now, that what I just explained is where I'm at in my diff height understanding. Did you die?
No, I'm here. Thank you, Chad, for the question. And hey, if you guys have any more, I do have a few more questions. We are getting them in, so we will do one.
Did you say that was Chris Nunez?
Yes, it was Chris Nunez. I messed up his name, like I usually do. I'm sorry, Chris.
How did you get Chad from Chris and Chad? That's not very close.
It is. They both begin with a C and a H.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Chris. I called you Chad.
So you read two letters and then you guess?
No, actually, what happened is I was looking on Facebook at some other questions, and there was a guy named Chad, and it kind of stuck in my name. I blame Chad Kaysen. It's all your fault.
It's stuck in your name.
Yeah, you know what? It's stuck in my brain.
In your what?
In my brain. Come on, man. I know, that was stupid. All right, man. Talk to you later. I'll call you back for the rant. Go away.
Okay, good. I can finish this email.
No, you can't. Bye.
Bye.
Euro RC. Just RC. No bullshit.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Future of RC. This episode, my guest is a good friend of mine. I actually met him at AMS last year. He's from the Northeast. He has the coolest name in RC. I like to call him Captain Kyosho because, it's Kyosho to the bone. And, I'm not the biggest Kyosho fan, but, I still love him. My boy, Enzo Albertoni. What's up, Enzo? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm cool, man.
Just chilling.
Just, chill out in AC. Had to put it on like 45 minutes before we did this interview because it's hot here and, it's all good. But for people that don't know you, if they don't, you're very active on social media. You are a Future of RC. I always think you're older than what you really are, but you just turned 20. You've been around RC for a long time. You do race for Kyosho. You also, what you're known for is your painting. We'll touch on that in a little bit. And a while, as well as you and Andrew Rizzo started the whole Positive RC Facebook movement page and whatnot. So,
Yeah, that was a really nice start that we had. That was mostly all Andrew's idea, and just off of like when I met Jared. I actually met Jared when they had 10 scale nats here in Maryland back in 2017, I think. And I met him for the first time. I actually got to meet Jared that weekend. And like we got really cool ever since and been talking to him. And then he started the whole RC rad thing. Mm-hmm. And I really liked that idea that he had started, remember when he made that big post and he was like, the negativity needs to stop and everyone needs to get together. And he made a big post about it. And when that happened, me and Andrew were like, we should really like elaborate on that and make a big group where we can expand off of his original idea of like getting the community together, ending the drama, ending all of that, and just, having a big group of guys that have that same mentality. And that's when we started the Positive RC movement. And I mean, it's been taken off ever since. I think we're at like over 2,000 members now.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
It's been good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Andrew actually helped me when I did the Packy Chip Challenge for the Showers family down in SCRC. What's up, guys?
Right. Yeah, he told me that.
Yeah, so he stepped up because I couldn't get a crowdfunding going because I have an American account. But I appreciate that, and you guys let me post my podcasts in there, and I appreciate that. And it's good to see some of I like when people post the old school pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's always awesome to see.
It brings back great memories, and because I've been around for a while, so.
Right.
Yeah. So I decided to get you in here. We've been talking about doing this for a long time. You just, as we're recording this podcast, just in case people don't know, we're recording it. We're just talking about the 8 scale Euros happened 2 weeks ago. Right now, the Euros are going on. 10 scale Euros are going on. You did the Nationals recently, and you just came back from Puerto Rico. So as you went down there to race with the Puerto Rican guys down there, and you had a blast. We'll touch on all of that, but let's draw back and let's find out who Enzo Albertoni is. Where are you from exactly? Where are you located?
I was born and raised in Germantown, Maryland, and I'm currently still living in Germantown, Maryland. Mm-hmm. And my family, my mom and my dad are from South America.
Right.
They're from Uruguay, mm-hmm. So right under Argentina. And yeah, I mean, we've been living here ever since, and made a lot of friendships, especially at the track, and got into RC at a really early age. Mm-hmm. But no, it's been good. It's been good. I think the first time I came across anything RC related was maybe when I was like 5 or 6.
Right.
And my dad would always get me like the Radio Shack cars when I was, a really little kid. So I always had that love for anything remote control. And then, like just being connected with the whole car scene. My dad and I used to go to the car shows all over the East Coast, and my dad used to be big into Volkswagen, and we had an 84 GTI, a Rabbit, mm-hmm. and we had it lowered, and we had coils on it, and some rims, and nothing major, but we always used to go to the car shows and would wake up at like 3 a.m. and drive all the way up to Jersey and Hershey Park and all these, different car shows, and it was a blast. So I always had that, that car scene love for it, and anything that had gears and fuel and anything combustible mixed in the equation. And then like one day I was a little kid, and I think we were coming back from a car show, and we stopped by a magazine shop. I think it was like 06, and I saw an RC Car Action magazine, and I was like, Dad, I want that one. And I started reading it and getting into it. And I remember the RC Car Action mags back in the day, they all came with a local track directory. So you could look up the tracks in your area. And I came across my local track, which is the track in Gaithersburg, which the owner's Mimi Wong. And I remember I went there one day and saw the cars going around, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I've been into it ever since, and it's been a wild ride.
What was your first real car?
My first legit real race kit was a ready-to-run SC10 from Team Associated, and I used to race two-wheel drive mod short course at the track, and that was before we had dirt. So for anyone that follows, our track's Facebook page, we used to have an on-road track, and Mimi's used to be big for carpet and banked oval even, and she's been around since the 90s. So she used to have an on-road track, and when she first did off-road, she used to do asphalt with plywood jumps, and that's how we did it.
Okay.
And I started off doing that, and then a couple years down the line, she, obviously made the transition to dirt, but no, I started off doing asphalt with, plywood jumps, running short course, and that later evolved and got into buggies, and it's been awesome ever since.
Yeah, Mimi's has been around for a long time. I didn't realize it's been around that long. I've heard about it, I think, starting, when I kind of got involved in FFJQ. And, yeah, Mimi Wong, I heard a lot of good things about her track and whatnot. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, Mimi's super cool. She's been around a long time, and she still has the drive and the passion to give us a place to race, and just has tremendous love for everyone that goes to her track, and she's always super nice and willing to do anything to make us happy and have a good facility to go race.
Yeah. How often do you get there? How far away is it from you?
I live exactly 5 minutes from the track.
Oh, so you're straight. You're not too far away from it at all.
I'm about, you hop on 270 towards Washington, and then it's like 3 exits, and then I'm right there.
So do you go there a lot? Like how many times a week do you go there?
On weeks where I don't have anything planned, if I can get to the track about 2 to 3 times a week, I'm happy.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I didn't realize. For some reason, I thought you was like in New Jersey, New York, or that area. I didn't realize that.
No. I have family that lives in New York and up around there, but no, I've always been in Maryland.
Okay. And what part of Uruguay are your parents from?
My parents are from the main city, which is Montevideo, which is right off the port, literally as soon as you hit the country on the water. So they've always been, used to the beach life, coming back from school, going to the beach with the family, and I've been there a few times. It's the majority of my family is all there, all my cousins and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's one country I definitely want to visit. My good buddy Adrian DeLuca, he lives there.
I know Adrian. Yep.
And he was like the first guy that I met in South America when I started this journey with JQ. And he was the kind of the guy who showed me, they race her. And that Tico track, man.
Yes, dude, it looks awesome. I've seen, the first time I caught eye of that track was when Drake went down there. And Adam Drake went down there for a race, and I remember it was out on Red RC, and I clicked on it, and I was like, oh, it's in Uruguay. And I saw the video of the track, and I was like, dude, this place is awesome. And ever since then, there's been like 2 or 3 more tracks that popped up, and I think they even had the South American Nationals there, I think. And they had the guy that does the motocross tracks go and build them a track. It looked awesome.
Actually, it's they did it last year, and it got rained out.
Yeah, I saw that. It turned into the Mudfest.
He's named Davey Davison. He's from Brazil, the guy who builds these tracks. And man,
no, he does incredible tracks. I've seen the different, how he always posts the like drawing picture of the layouts and where it's going to be held. If you've clicked on his page, he has like all the drawings for every country that he's built the track for. And it's incredible.
He is. I would rank that guy as one of the best track builders in the world, man. He does some incredible work. And I definitely want to get to Uruguay. Adrian's always sending me. I went to, Joseph and I went to Argentina. And
how'd you like that?
I liked it. Argentina's very European, I want to say. Yeah, it is. Yeah. They love their beef, and I loved it because Argentina would be like the bigger brother of Uruguay.
I would say so. The accent that the people have when they talk there is about the same. The way of life is about the same. We both love barbecue. I don't know if you went to eat.
Oh, I did. Trust me. Trust me.
Did you have a good time?
Oh, I loved it. Joseph didn't like it too much. He's like, oh, I don't like. I was like, man, just eat the beef. It's all about like what they did was they
had blood sausage and all that.
Oh yeah, I had blood sausage. I eat it. You can see. I don't say no. But it was pretty cool because at the race that we went to, it was in Mendoza. And they had a big banquet afterwards, and it was just meat. Like they were cooking the meat, and like tomato salad and bread and wine, and they just
and chimichurri. Did you have that?
But they just keep bringing out like different cuts of meat, and we
don't stop.
And I love South America. I'd go back to Argentina. I think Argentina has the highest level of racing in South America, I want to say, and then probably Brazil, like the competition-wise, because there's 2 guys that are really fast from Argentina. One's Nico Bragante. He comes to America.
Yeah, Nicolas. Yeah, he's really quick. He's a very, very quick. And he runs all sorts of classes. He does off-road.
Oh, he does everything. Yeah.
He does everything.
He's cool.
I've watched videos when he posts videos of him going around. He's quick.
But the guy that's faster than him is actually Agustin Coutinho. That's like his biggest competition.
He's Mugen, right?
Yeah, but he doesn't leave Argentina, and he's so fast, and he speaks like perfect English.
Well, I think the biggest issue with getting them out South America is just the cost, man. Like when
Yes.
we go down there to visit family, like just with I don't know if it's the import laws or anything, like
It is.
you'll go to like the local store and you'll look at, say, for example, a PS4 PlayStation, and like here at Best Buy, it's like $400 or $500, and you look it down there and it's almost $1,000, dude. Like it's insane how much the price gap is and how much more expensive it is. So like for the people that do RC down there, it's like a royalty. It's like the guys that can do RC and that can race, like they're very lucky.
Yeah. I mean, I remember them guys telling me that a HB car with auto box, they were paying like $900 for it. By the time they got into there.
That's 100% true. I mean, they're paying crazy money to go race. Just tires and engines and fuel. Like fuel's probably the hardest thing to get down there, I think.
Yeah, but engines were cheap because they could just bring them in easy because they were small.
Right.
But yeah, people don't understand. Like I heard people complaining about cost of racing. I come from Bermuda, dude, and shit is expensive there. Like it's the most
Right.
expensive country in the world. And even here in the DR, like we kind of get things in cheaper. But man, down in these countries where these guys are racing, man, like it's so expensive, and they race and they love it and they have a good time. I know Uruguay's a little bit more relaxed, talking to Adrian, but I definitely got to get down there. I love South America, period. I enjoyed all my visits there, except in Bolivia. When we was in La Paz and it was 15,000 feet above sea level, and I died just going to the toilet, dying of lack of breath. But it's still a beautiful country, but I just need to be a little bit lower and closer down to sea level so I can breathe properly. But
Right.
I love South America, man. I love my tour that we did there.
I love it. Every time we go there with family and we're there with the family and we get to go to the beaches and go to we're big soccer people. So when we go there and we watch soccer with the family and we go to the stadium with everyone, it's just, it's such a good time. It's always relaxed and it's always good to go there. I just wish we could go there more often because
it's just expensive.
It's
though.
crazy expensive for flights, like incredibly expensive.
Well, hopefully I get to finally go to Brazil next year and go to the Worlds and have some fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Hopefully, I don't know how the whole Nats things work, but with a strike of luck, maybe we'll go, maybe not. But regardless, I think it'll be an awesome venue.
I don't think everybody's going to go to Brazil. So I think
basing off of how expensive it is for flights to go to Uruguay, where my family's at, I really don't see everyone going.
And the bad thing is a lot of people are nervous about going there, and they don't have to be because I talked to guys from Brazil, like my buddy Thomas and a couple other guys. I had one of the guys, Eduardo, on the Grassroots Racer Spotlight. Yes, like Rio's dangerous, but the track isn't in the middle of the favela in Rio. Like, you know what I mean?
No. I looked it up, and it was more like inward to the country, in the countryside, more or less. It looked like it was in deep country of Brazil.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go down there and drink me some Brahma and have me some whatever national food that they eat in Brazil.
And have some Brazilian barbecue too.
Oh, yeah, man. Hey, I don't shy away from anything.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, good stuff. All right. So, short course racing. When did you get into nitro?
Man. Nitro, probably around the same time. I think if I'm correct, my dad actually got me a used car on eBay, and that's, I think, where I stepped into the first Kyosho, so to speak. Got me in, got like a used, ready-to-run car. We didn't even know it was a race kit at the time. It came with a starter box and all that, and I took the radio out of the SE10 at the time and was just running that in the backyard and didn't really know there were outdoor tracks. But I pretty much started nitro at the same time that I was doing electric. So I pretty much had to learn all the headaches of tuning and clutches and maintenance and this and that, and you know how it is, just the headaches of running nitro when you're a newbie and having to learn all that. So I around the same time as electric.
Yeah. Now, was your dad at AMS? I'm pretty sure he was, right?
No, my dad wasn't. My parents, they know about what I do and they love that I race, RC and stuff, but they're not like,
I could have sworn there was an older gentleman there, though, or was...
No, the guy that was there with us, that's a buddy of mine, Benny, and he went with us to be my mechanic and because he races electric too, so he took his short course. And he was pretty much there just for to have a good time and help me out and just, soak up the environment and just have a good time. But no, like my parents know about it and all, but I'm not like, how, for example, like Cole Tollard has his dad as a mechanic and stuff like that. Like my dad doesn't know the mechanical part. You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't know RC to be, involved with the mechanical part and knowing what to change and what not to change. Like if he goes to the track with me, he's there to watch. And if he sees my car, like he'll tell me that it's doing something, but he won't really know what to change.
Okay.
But they support me, and that's the important part.
Okay. What was your first nitro car? Do you remember what he bought you?
My first nitro car was a used 777.
Okay, so you was like Kyosho from the start.
Just about, but at the time I didn't know it was a Kyosho car.
Okay.
Like I didn't even know that it was like a world championship winning kit. Like it was a used beat up 777 with an old Zero motor in it, a starter box, like beat servos, pretty much ball tires, and I didn't even know because I would just run it in the backyard. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know. And, once we got rid of that and I started to get more involved with it, and then like I realized what I had, I was like, oh, like I had a race kit. Like I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so when did you start taking nitro a little bit more serious? Because I know you race both 10 scale and nitro, but I know you more from nitro. I know you race a lot.
Right.
Well, obviously where you live and, it snows at winter, so 10 scale during the winter. But, recently you've been really upping up your nitro game, so in the last few years.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's a steep road to success. It's a lot of things have to click together at an event to have a good showing and to do well. And it's not only the mechanical part, but racing's so mental. So you got to have the mental part down, and everything just needs to come together. But I think when I first got all my Kyosho 10 scale cars around that time was when I went really serious with nitro and started to take nitro seriously. And that was probably like around like 2010, 2011, around there. So my first legit like full on race kit that I started to race was a MP9 TKI3. And that was right around fresh off when Cody won the Worlds in 2010. So like around that time is when I started to take nitro serious.
Awesome. I know you've been telling me to get Cody here on the podcast.
Yeah.
And he keeps promising me, like he hit me up yesterday or the day before. It's like, I'm going to be on the podcast. We've always set a date, but just haven't really done it. And I know it's going to happen once it will happen when he decides it's going to happen. So he hit me up a couple of days ago, said, look, I know you're getting angry. I said, no, I'm cool, man. I said, I'm cool. I mean, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand. I said, first you got to, get some races under your belt and get comfortable with RC, and then we'll talk about it, And so I'm hoping to get him on her soon. If he's listening, come on, let's do it. You got people out here that want to hear your story.
No, I think he'll be on shortly. I don't think he'll take that much longer. Cody's been on a roll lately. He's been doing really good over, like at the JBRLs and stuff. He's doing work. I'm happy to see that he's getting he's getting back in that groove, and he's doing good. I'm happy for him.
All right. So, what was your first big nitro race that you attended? Like a big race?
My first big nitro race. Does it have to be national level, or can it be like a big like local event?
Like when did you go to? Okay, here's a better question. What was your first race when you was like, okay, I like this shit?
Oh, okay. So like that would be like a big local event. Probably back around that time. Some of the racers up around us used to have a tri-state summer sizzler series. So it used to be, we used to have a track down, I think in like almost close to, I think Philly it was or something like that. It used to be Hobby Hut, the track that you were talking about, Trains and Lanes. And then I think it was at it was Mushroom Bowl. And it used to be a race series, and it was called the Tri-State Summer Sizzler. And it was a huge series that we had in the summer. And all the region's best would go there. Jamie Grayek, Jason Schreffler, Chad Phillips, like all the big guys in our region would go. And my first big legit series race was when I went to the one at Hobby Hut. And when I went there with my my freshly built car and like started racing at those series, and I saw them and just saw the competition, I was like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is my niche.
So yeah, and I know some of the names you talk about, Grayek and those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys are all fast Northeast guys. Who were some of the when you was coming up in Nitro? Who were some of your early influences in that area in the Northeast? Because like the Northeast is a big RC scene too.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
it's
learning
huge.
more about it. I'm learning more and more about it as I meet more people, but it's really big.
Probably in the Northeast, the guy that I looked up to the most, like as my local, like, influencer, when I was like terrible, like when I couldn't drive and I was like just looking up to all these guys, the guy that I probably looked up to the most was probably Jamie, because at the time he was Kyosho. So his cars always looked so good going around the track, and he was always approachable, and Jamie was a big influence. And then obviously I think when you saw that video at Trains, my buddy Ophir.
Ophir's wild.
Yeah, Ophir's my boy. That Ophir helped me a lot. Just like mostly everybody, like Rizzo. Rizzo actually wasn't racing around that time. He started a couple years after that.
Okay.
But like, Jamie, Ophir, I'm sure there's many more, Schreffler was always cool. Just, Mazzara, all these guys were always very approachable and very easy to talk to.
Did you see that video that I posted? Well, it came from RC Jers, Kevin Winters. My buddy Quaze, he's from Bermuda. He was at
saw that. I saw the battle with him and Mazzara.
That was so
awesome.
cool. Yeah.
That's good old school Northeast type racing right there. That's how we do it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I saw that.
Shout
that
out
was
to
a sick move.
Shout out to Kevin Winters or RC Jers. He's the one who took that video and he allowed me to put it up on Instagram. It was pretty cool. So yeah, you guys it's definitely a healthy thing going on, but it's split up. The Northeast region split up into how many different sections would you say? Because I'm still not clear on it. You got like the New York guys.
Well, technically Maryland and around where I'm at wouldn't be Northeast. It'd be like Mid-Atlantic, but we bring it into the Northeast because we all race with the same people. So we consider it the Northeast, but it's really not. But it would be PA, obviously Jersey, New York, Philly, Delaware when they had a track. What else? All the states up there. And then down south, you obviously have Virginia, West Virginia. They're all one big area, so to speak. Like, we all pretty much race with the people from all those places. So it's one big giant community.
Okay.
Around like the Mid-Atlantic region up towards, a little bit into like New York and Jersey and all that, and then a little bit south touching like Virginia and stuff like that. They all pretty much race together.
Okay. So, all right, I'm going to ask you this, and it's going to be a hard decision. Where did the fastest guys come from out of the Northeast?
The fastest guys in the Northeast come out of?
Yeah.
If I was like, would you say like a track? Like, what track did they come out of?
Yeah, or region, like, because it is kind of regional out there.
Like, not to like rub on any of my boys down south, but definitely out of PA.
Yeah. All right.
Definitely, I think out of PA, because you have Schreff, Jamie, Chad Phillips. There's many more, and then obviously New York, you have Mazzara. Mazzara's super quick. But I think like all in all, like in quantity of like really fast wheels, I think from what I've seen, again, my personal opinion,
yeah,
don't want to rub anyone the wrong way, but I think PA, definitely
right.
Pennsylvania.
But you got to throw yourself in there because you went to the Nationals. We talked before you went to the Nationals here a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, and you was like, yeah, I want to make the cut for the Worlds, and you just missed it, but you came 50th, and I thought that was a great result for you. I thought it was very good for you.
And I mean, yeah, it was good. I didn't really have any expectations going to that race. That was actually my first Fuel Nats.
Okay.
The first time I've ever been able to go to a Fuel Nats, just off of everything clicking together to be able to go. But no, I was happy.
Yeah,
I was really happy. Everything came together. I went there again, zero expectations, and went to the race, and it was good because I went there and in practice I didn't really have high hopes. And one of the other guys that helped me out a lot that whole weekend was a buddy of mine that used to race, Kyle Rhodes. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I know Kyle.
Connecticut. Kyle's super fast. Used to be, again, Kyosho for years. And Kyle was like, whenever you need help, just text me, whatever. And, me and him talked a lot before I went to Nats, and he just told me because, he had the experience from having a few Nats under his belt. And he told me, like every time you go out there, just try and get a little bit more speed, focus on the consistency. And I really took that to heart and just went there and in practice just tried to not rush it. Like a lot of people in practice, they want to, go full send in hot lap practice. And it's like, we just slow down, learn the track, build speed every practice round and just take your time. And it was a totally different approach. Like I've never been to a race where like mentally I felt so calm and like relaxed at, which was really weird. Mm-hmm. But I just went there with like, an open mind and just tried to do my best. And we worked together with the team, CJ, Brennan, Brian Allen and Carlos and just everyone with the Kyosho team just worked together and we all got, a good setup generated and it was good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
I was happy with your result. I mean, yes, probably a little bit better, but I think you did well. That was a hard race. It was.
Oh yeah, it was hard. Yeah. The track changed very quickly from the start of the day to the end of the day. Like it would change rapidly throughout the day, and not only that, but the driving, man. It was like it was just like running back home at Mimi's because like Mimi's is like a very fast-paced track. So if you make one mistake, like you would go from a TQ run to being like fourth. So it's like same thing in Texas. Like if you were on a really good 12-lap run and you made one bobble, like you could drop either to a very low 11, almost 12-lap run or really fall off and like really go down.
Okay.
So it really like challenged you and made sure that if you were going to be on a good run that you needed to hold consistency and be very consistent with your run. So to me, it almost felt a little bit like back home because like I was telling you, like before we went live, a bunch of our tracks here have that like off-road character type vibe, and you got to be consistent. You can't really, we don't have the ability to have a smooth track where you can go into corners aggressive and not have to worry about catching a rut, or you know what I mean? Like you have to. It was a different type of driving style,
yes,
so to speak. So it really made you work for that consistency, and I think that's why I did well because back home that's what we have to do a lot. Okay. So no, it was good. It was good. Really, really challenged everything that I'd learned in the previous years, and no, it was a good time.
Yeah, I'm really. And you got some tire warmers, but you'll probably use those up in the area.
Yeah. I wanted to try the Kool-Aid. I wanted to try the Kool-Aid, and I wasn't really sure on what it would do, but CJ was like, you want to try them? And I was like, why not? So I tried them one round, and they made a difference. Not going to lie, they made a difference. It wasn't something that was like, whoa, I totally like dropped a second, but it was like enough to where the first couple laps of your race when you hit the loop and you went live, like you would tell the difference, and then once I think the temperature would drop off of the tire, it would go back to normal. But I think for the first couple minutes, it was definitely an edge, for sure.
Good stuff. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your first Nationals. I enjoyed watching it. And, yeah, I think you can go to Brazil. I don't think, like I said, I don't think everybody's going to go. And then they take, what is it, top 40 goes or top 30?
I mean, in the past, everyone's always said it was top 40. So if it's top 40 and then people flake out, I mean, that's 10th on the waiting list. So well, I would assume last year that I would get it and I might get something. But again, I'm not expecting it to happen, and I'm not expecting it to be given to me. If it happens, it happens. If not, try harder next year.
Well,
the next 2 years.
Nobody, like a lot of people didn't go to the Worlds in Australia, so I think you'll get in. Like it's just gonna come down to expense, and I think a lot of people are gonna be nervous about going, which they shouldn't be. But I definitely think expense is going to play a big role in it.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. And you just recently, right after the Nationals, went down to Puerto Rico to race.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How did that come about?
So, in Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, in Texas, the group of guys that we were pitted with for the race, we had a buddy of mine, Jorge, that I've known for a while, that's from Puerto Rico. And he had all his buddies from Puerto Rico come to the race too, which was Jose, Carlos, and then they had another guy. And he told me, he's like, hey, my buddy Jose helps organize events, and he'd like to bring you to Puerto Rico. And I told them that the majority of the time that I think we were going to plan on going as a family, was for that certain date, and he was like, "Oh, let's slap it together."
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up working out because, like, the week that I got back from Nats, he texted me and he sent me a flyer and everything, and he's like, "It's done, it's ready." And he sent me all the info, and I was like, "Sweet, it's gonna work out," because we were already gonna go as a family. And we got there, and I mean, it was awesome. Like, we landed, and he came and picked us up, and his company Auto de Bajamon, he hooked us up with a rental car, and just was totally super nice vibe. Like, we've never been treated so nice, being a guest in a new area like that, and it was a great time.
That's your first time getting to Puerto Rico, right?
That was my first time in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Correct.
Puerto Rico is nice, man. I've been there a few times, never to race, but it's very, like, if you ever come to the DR, you'll see it's similar, very similar. Little bit, I think the DR is a little bit more crazy, like, you know what I mean? But because Puerto Rico is still like American, so it has some rules. Here in the DR, well, you could really literally come off the plane and I'll have, we could just go down the road drinking a cold beer, and people must be like, "Man, Keenan's an alcoholic. Oh, I told me drinking cold beer while he's driving," but it's just normal here for me, So good stuff. How did the race go? You won, I believe, right?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It was good.
All right.
It was good. We went there, and we got there. Well, the race was Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
but we went there. We got there on the week before, like Monday, but we went there on Saturday, and they hadn't finished the track yet. So
Okay.
I saw that, and I was like, well, we've raced enough locally to know how to treat a track. So we helped them out, and I pitched a hand and helped them finish the layout and pack in jumps, and it was just like being back home, Like, I got there and I saw they needed help, and I was like, let's help, Like, I'm not here as royalty. I'm here to, help out and provide information or help anyone out in any way that I can. So we helped with the layout and got that all done, and it was cool, and everyone was like, "Thank you for the help," and it was just nice, just being able to help out with a local crew that for them that track is what they have to have fun on the weekends. So
Yeah.
to be able to go there and provide help not only with the track, but then later on in the race when people would come over and ask you for help and set up suggestions and stuff like that, just seeing the reaction when you would tell them something, and then like 5 or 10 minutes later, they'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh, I tried it in my qualifier. It helped a lot. I really appreciate it." Like, just that feeling of knowing that you helped someone and that you gave a little bit more information to someone that maybe didn't know in the past. That, to me, that was a good feeling. That was a win.
Yeah, and what people have to understand is that Puerto Rico was the biggest market in the Caribbean. They used to have about 5 different tracks that they raced at. They used to get probably 60 to 75 people per race, maybe 100 plus entries at a race. But after the hurricane kind of messed up a lot of their tracks, and it took them a while just to get this track back up and running. So it's good to see them racing. I had a few guys that raced there, so I'm kind of in touch with the guys there. I haven't, we don't have anybody anymore, but I know what's going on. And a lot of the guys from here in the DR used to go over there and race against them and whatnot. So yeah, it's good to see them racing. Now we need to do the same thing here in DR. But a hurricane didn't mess us up, just people getting out of the hobby. All right.
Right.
So Puerto Rico was fun. Now you're getting ready for the 10 scale nationals, correct?
Yep.
Okay. How are
Getting
you?
ready for that.
Yeah, that should be cool. Is it track similar to what you race on now at Mimi's, or it's indoor, right?
Yeah, indoor. It's going to be held at ENN Hobbies, right in Columbus, I think. And I don't know so much if the track will be similar to what we race on. Mimi's track is more or less a topsoil mix.
Okay.
Of the dirt, but they've been figuring out the dirt more, and now the grip totally came around at our track, and it's a very high grip track now, and everything's a little bit more different than it was last season. So I'd say our track is more similar to like a hobby action now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if it's the same as ENN. But Rizzo's been to ENN, and he's been sharing a lot of information with me, and he's been a huge help too. So he's been, providing a lot of info, and we're working together and getting setups generated, and
Yeah, he's a smart
just doing
dude.
the
Very smart.
whole setup thing, just trying to work together. These leading up to this race, we're trying to go to all these tracks and just try and get a lot of track time together so we can, bounce ideas off each other and, get a good setup generated, not only for us, but like for the guys back home. here that race locally that have the cars, we can provide, a setup and information to help them out as well.
Yeah, Rizzo's a really smart dude, man. I like Rizzo a lot. He knows what he's talking about. I know he gets frustrated sometimes, but
we all do. I don't think it would be human if we don't get frustrated. So
yeah,
Rizzo's come a long way. I've been friends with him for years now, and he's been a huge help to my program. Like he will come down and like he came down and picked me and a buddy of mine, Brennan. I'm sure you know Brennan Schimmel that lives down in Virginia.
Yes.
He picked both of us up. He drove down from Jersey and picked Brennan up in Virginia Beach, and we went right back up and went back up to Jersey to go race.
Really?
Like he will go the extreme mile to make sure that anyone that has a chance or has a shot can go out and race and like really have that opportunity to show off what they have. So it's like for him to do that and for someone to think that way and to like open up and not only care about themselves but care about the success of others, and not only others but younger people.
Yeah.
To me that like speaks miles on what type of person he is. So he's been a huge influence on my program and just my success lately.
Yeah, I gotta get him on her as well to talk a little bit. I like Andrew. We talk a lot, not as much, but we've gotten to know each other over the last say year and a half, I'd say. And I look forward to meeting him one day in person when I get back to America or get to a race where he's at. All right, here's another thing that you do that people may not know. You're actually a painter as well. How did that come about?
So about a year or so now. Yeah, probably a year. About a year or two ago, I used to get bodies painted by a good buddy of mine, Eric Everett at Easy Customs.
Yes, I know who you're talking
about. And just, off of getting the bodies done, and not only that, but like looking at other painters and just, like looking at, all these different painters across the country, and just having a little bit of like a, slight drawing background, like back when I was in high school. I was just really curious, and I was like, man, I wonder if I could try and learn how to paint. So I bought like a really cheap airbrush. I already have my compressor that I use to clean off my cars. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I got one, bought a little bit of paint, started to get the hang of it. And I was like, this is pretty decent. I was like, I could probably be okay at it. And I ended up getting like really deep into it. And then, I told Eric that I was going to, paint my own. Nothing against Eric, super talented guy, incredible lines. But I've always been intrigued by painting, and I just always wanted to learn how to paint. So I took it upon myself to learn and teach myself how to paint. And, not only that, but with the help, Eric's helped a lot with teaching me, his little tricks. And the biggest help, I'm sure his work, Chris Rupp at CR Graphics. Chris has been an incredible help, and he's taught me everything. And just little by little, it's like anything, even like driving. Every time you do a body, you get better. You learn more techniques. You learn how to get better with cutting with the X-Acto blade, and keeping your line straighter. And it's a process, but over time, I've been able to get better and better. And I learn how to paint my bodies now, and I do Rizzos. I painted for Chambers, and even did lids for Zach, and it was like, it just took off. Like it's completely been a wild ride that I never thought would get that big, but it helps pay for racing. So I'm really happy and fortunate that, people, don't go to some of the higher guys, nothing for nothing, they're very talented painters, but it says a lot that sometimes they'll be like, let me give the smaller guy a try, and that they send me bodies too. So I'm really thankful that guys send bodies to me to, give me a chance to do their scheme. And, it's been good. I've just been able to, do what I do and slowly get better and better, and provide people with, paint jobs that they enjoy. So it's been good. I'm really glad that it's taken off and it's been a successful road.
And what's your painting company called?
My company's called A1 Graphics.
A1 Graphics. So go check out Enzo at A1 Graphics, and he'll hook you up. He'll get you painted up and make your car look good. So here's something that I really do like what you do about you, is that you're actually in school as well, full-time, and racing as much as you do. So where do you go to school? What are you studying? How much longer do you have there?
I'm going to school right now at Montgomery College, which is a community college here locally in Maryland, and I'm going to school for a cybersecurity degree. And I think have about probably another year, if that, a year, maybe two at max here, and then I'm going to transfer out and finish the last 2 years at school somewhere else. I don't really know where I'm going to transfer to as for university right now, but just taking it step by step when it comes to that. I don't really want to rush that at all.
So how do you balance all this? You're painting, you're racing RC as much as you do. Do you have a girlfriend or anything like that?
No girl right now. We're trying to change that though. But
once you got a girlfriend, like RC
no,
life's gonna change.
I know. Yeah, we know that.
Trust me.
But no, it's hectic because when school starts up, all the classes that I'll normally take about 3 or 4 classes a semester, and then, depending what course you get or whatnot, it might be an accelerated course. So it might be the same class that would take a full semester might be a sped up version. So in 2 weeks worth, you might cover the amount of material worth of 2 months. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to take an accelerated course or something like that, and it just gets crazy. Like all the essays you need to do and the research projects, and it gets pretty nuts. So sometimes I try not to take it away from racing because I'm trying to, I really want to keep, getting to that next step with racing. But school's definitely the priority. So sometimes, I'll be, instead of hitting the track, 2-3 times a week, I'll be lucky if I can hit it maybe once every 1 or 2 weeks. And but I always try to go every weekend if I can. But no, it's definitely a challenge, balancing schoolwork and painting, and that's just the way it is. Sometimes I'll come home from school and do classwork and things that I need to do, and then be up from 5-6 p.m. until maybe 11 or 10, around there, maybe even more, cutting and painting a body at night. And then I'll go to bed and then wake up probably at 6:30, 7 and do it all over again. So I do that, and then on weekends that I have a big race, I'll probably try and schedule bodies to be done earlier in the week. So Friday night after classwork, I can stay up and wrench and, go to the track Saturday or whatever in the morning. So I'm always trying to balance everything out and try and get everything situated so I can hit the track as much as I can. And on top of that, try and deliver bodies to people without that long of a wait.
How many bodies do you do a week now, roughly?
Right now, since I ended the production line before I went to Fuel Nationals, so I made a big post saying that I wasn't going to be taking in any more bodies, and I'm glad I did, because I've been really busy since I came back and I haven't really had that much time. But when the line is like full and I'm moving, I'll probably do 3 or 4 a week, if not more. It's not crazy numbers like some of the big painters do, 8 or 9 or even 10 a week, but every now and then I'll probably get a max of about 7 per week. And it's time consuming. You sit down and you got to draw, and I'm like super OCD on making sure everything's even, so I'll sit there and hold the body at an arm's length and look at one side and look at the other and try and make sure it's to the T of like perfect. And if it's not, it's, you spray a rag down with brake cleaner and wipe off the whole other side and redo it all over again.
Yeah, coming from a guy who could just about spray a 1-can rattle can body part properly, I definitely appreciate good paint. So it's not easy.
No, it's not. And it's the problem with being a painter now is, not only you have to not only deliver on the expectations of the person that you're painting for, but the problem now is that people think it's cheap work.
Yeah.
Like, people think it's something that, it's not that hard, and it's like, it shouldn't be taking that long, but it's like, start to finish, you're sitting in, like, say I got to do 2 bodies, 2 8-scale buggy and an 8-scale truck. You're sitting there for about an hour, 2, maybe even 3 on one body, trying to get everything to the T, and then you got to sit down and do the other body. And then you're spending another 45 minutes to an hour cutting those bodies out with an X-Acto blade. And what makes or breaks your paint is your cutting. Because if your lines are bad, they're going to look horrible once they're done. So it's not always the drawing, but it's the cutting. And the cutting is what you need to take your time on, because if you rush that and your line's like all crooked, or if it's like squiggly on a straight line, and you peel that mask and you spray the outline, and when it's all done, that'll stand out and that'll ruin the job. So it's like the cutting is the most time expensive part that you need to take the utmost like patience on. And then once you do that, the painting for me is the easy part. That's just, hit the booth and you're hitting colors back to back to back and you're just flying through. But the most, labor extensive part is probably cutting a body out. And that's what takes the most time. But it's like, by the time you're done, start to finish, it's over an 8-hour job easily.
Oh, that's incredible. For $50.
Yeah, for like $50 a body. So it's like you're sitting there and you're doing probably, like I said, 2 to 3 hours of cutting and drawing, and then you're in the booth for another 3 to 4, and then by the time you're done, it's about 8 hours total. And then the problem is that guys always try to lowball you. So it's like, oh, well, I'll give you $40 now, and then when I get paid next week, I'll send you the other 10. And it's like, come on, dude. It's like, really?
$50 ain't nothing.
Right. So it's like you have to deal with people like that, and then you have to sometimes chase people to get paid, and it's like, you know how it is.
Yep.
So that's been the struggle with painting, but we get over that, and I have my local group of guys that have been coming back to me repeatedly, like Rizzo and my buddy Gabriel, and the guys that have, already showed that they want to continue to come back to me. And my local group of guys is what, has been helping pay for a lot of my racing costs so far.
Yeah, I could imagine, dude. How about social life, dude? You're young. You just went 20. Do you hang out with any non-RC people? Do you have a non-RC social life at all? Because I think that's important, too.
My non-RC social life probably consists at school. When I'm with the people that I know at school, that I went to high school with, we'll hang out at school, maybe go grab lunch, stuff like that. But I haven't really been going out that much. But I will every now and then with a couple buddies, but not really like I used to in high school.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I get that. You don't really have much time either, so but it's important.
Yeah, the time part is the hard part. That's for sure. That's definitely the one that ruins that, because it's either you going out with your buddies on Saturday night or we driving up to New York for a race.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
All right, cool. Well, we've talked extensively, privately. You and I share a lot of thoughts on RC and that are very similar. You're a young guy. You've been into RC for a while. What do you think about our industry, our hobby, or scale motorsports as we call it? What do you think is good? What do you think that we definitely need to improve on, and what has to change? What are your opinions on that?
So, like as a whole, right?
Yeah.
I think as a whole, if you exclude the drama and all the stuff that's happening, I think the industry is pretty healthy still. I think it's definitely growing, at least where I'm at with my region. Like in the past couple months, I've been seeing a lot of new faces come into Mimi's for 10 scale. So it is growing here and there in a couple different parts of the country. I don't know about West Coast or the Midwest or any of that, but it definitely seems to be growing more so on the basher level. You're definitely seeing a lot more guys getting Traxxases and, you know what I mean? Like more or less starting out with the having fun stage before they get serious. I think that's definitely still healthy. Aside from that, if you look at the internal part of it, more specifically like you and me and the guys that are into the racing scene and the serious part of it, I think there's definitely room for improvement, not only with the race scene and the way that some of these events are ran and, just the formatting, but just the drama and everything that draws people out of it has been getting a little bit worse. And then that's another reason why we started the whole positive thing. Like I was telling you before we went live, it's just, we as an industry are one big team, if you think about it. We all run the same fuel. We all run at the same tracks. We're all racing the same type of cars. So in essence, we're different because we're running different brands, but we're still doing the same thing that we love. Mm-hmm. So it's like if we start to go separate and let egos and get, negativity and all this, and we let that get in the way of what we like doing, people are going to stop showing up. So I've been noticing, more and more, and it's like that post that I made the other night on the page. It's like too many times, especially locally and even at the national level races, you'll see someone that walks up to somebody, and I'm not naming any names, but you'll see someone that walks up to X person that knows a lot, and you'll see them ask for help. And they'll sort of look at them and be like, well, do you not see that I'm gluing tires? Or do you not see that I'm doing this? Or, you know what I mean? They'll sort of shame them for asking that question. And
yeah,
it's
they
like,
shouldn't.
Right. And it's like, you shouldn't treat those people that way, because it's like, yeah, you might be getting X product from here, or you might be getting money from your, supposed X brand that you run for. But it's like, realistically, the guy that just came over to ask you that question, that's paying for those parts full price, you technically work for them because they're paying you.
Yep.
So you need to help them and provide them with the knowledge that they've just asked you for. So it's like, that mentality needs to be expanded on and needs to be shared more throughout these races that we go to. Like, you see someone struggling, don't just look at them and make fun of them with your buddies. Like, go over there and be like, hey, dude, you having problems with keeping the engine running, or do you need like tuning help, or what's going on? And get involved. Try and help that dude. Because it's like, later on, you don't know if 2-3 months later that guy's like, you know what, screw this, I'm not racing anymore, and sells his gear. Yeah. It's like, that's one more guy that just left racing. So it's like that mentality of helping people and leaving all the BS and the ego and the sponsorship aside. We got to help people and help people bring back that fun, so to speak, where you, like, for example, with me, some of the best memories that I have at the track was racing some dude for 5th in the B main, a 2-wheel drive short course when I first started. Like, just rubbing fenders and all tight and just, maybe even blowing out in the race and having a horrible ending. But just that 3-minute battle that we have and then laughing it off at the end was maybe the best thing I've ever had. You know what I mean? So that having fun mentality and just bringing back that vibe is what we need to incorporate more, not only for the local average Joes and maybe guys that are almost on the cut of getting somewhere, all the way up to the pros.
Yeah.
So, I think that mentality needs to be incorporated more within our whole industry as a whole.
I think people just aren't having one of my biggest. Okay, I get it. Drama. All right, life is full of drama. I have a podcast. I talk about drama too. I'm like, if it's anything on the track, like somebody hitting somebody or doing something like that, I love it. If it's RC related, and I love it.
We're all guilty of it. When we're watching the live RC and, someone gets taken out or someone gets hit and everyone's like, oh, did you see that? And like the comment section blows up and like, that's like entertainment. We get it. Like everyone does it.
But
I'm guilty of it too.
I don't care about, who's, I don't like off the, like I hear it because obviously I hear a lot of drama off the track and I don't really worry about that too much. Yeah, I hear it. I put it in one ear and I note it, but I just like, I don't like that part. I like on the track incidents. Like, I think this is racing. And I think, I've always been a big, like, I think we need to have, like even Tebow's pretty good on social media. He gets a little bit savage sometimes. He hasn't been savage lately. I don't know what's going on. He needs to get back to that. And what I mean by that, he likes to joke. Like him and Ronafalk had something going on for a little while. It was fun. Joseph and him have something going on. Well, Joseph's been banned for 30 days, so he can't teach. He can't get on anybody. And I like that. Like, I like to see the smack talk between drivers because that's
right. There's a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between, and I'll be straight up. Excuse the language, but I'll be straight up. There's a difference between talking shit and being cool with your buddies and having that little fun. You know what I mean? Like you're saying. And then there's a difference between really talking shit and being rude and being disrespectful to someone. Yeah. And that's where I think that gap and that bridge needs to be covered.
Yeah, I think...
like it needs to be, like you said, having that fun and like, oh, I'm going to get you this round if you don't blow out. And everyone's like, oh, like the typical, messing around with your buddies at the local track. That's different. But some of the stuff that I've seen online on social media with people has gone too far, I think.
Yeah, of course it has. Because it's social media and everybody's behind a keyboard. I mean, I do it sometimes. I try not to get involved too much. But when it comes to arguing about RC, I do like to argue, but it's so draining, man. I just, I tell people all the time, people are fortunate. Like, you're fortunate. You have a track to go to and race to. I don't have that. So, and I think everybody should enjoy it. I see too many people thinking they're going to make a living off of this this thing that we do, scale motorsports, playing with toy cars, or even though I don't like to say toy cars, we're having fun. We got on this to have fun in the beginning, and that's how it should always be.
And to elaborate on that, and right on that point that you just hit, a lot of the sometimes, you know, like you'll hear the rumor like, oh, he's really not approachable, and I've gone up to him and asked him for help, and he really ignored me. You know, I'm pretty sure you've heard those remarks on some types of people before, and it's like on that same point that you just said about, you know, making a living off of it, and, you know, doing this for the living. It's like it's a different mentality, and it's like that's what I try and tell people sometimes. Like when the pros come to town, for example, when we had the Nats in 2017 and a bunch of our locals talked to the pros and wanted to get help. And I just told them, I was like, just remember that they're doing this they're doing it on a totally separate brainwave than we are. So, you know, like when practice is going on and it's open practice or controlled practice, you could knock yourself out, go talk to them. But it's like as soon as qualifying starts, that's their office. That's where they go and they do work. And that's where they're typing their work report, or that's where they're doing what they got to do. And it's like when people get, you know, offended and they get a little bit upset when a pro doesn't help them in that situation, it's like you got to think about it. It's like when you're at work and you're taking calls or you're doing this or you're doing that, and someone comes over to bug you, you're busy. You're doing something.
Yeah. There's a time and place. Like if that guy just had a shitty qualifier.
Everything. So when people come up to me and they're like, oh, well, you know, well, he didn't really help me, or he didn't really want to answer my question. And it's like, well, when did you go ask him? Oh, well, I asked him after he broke in his last qualifier. It's like, that's the wrong moment to ask him.
Or,
you know?
Or like people expect to get the magic answer to help them go faster. And that doesn't happen.
It's like they come over to say, you know, Jared or a Mayfield or a Rivkin, and they throw them a super broad question like, why is my car loose? And it's like, well, there's, you know, 15 different things that could be, you know, causing your car to be loose. You got bad diff oil, you know, your links are bad, your shock
wrong tires, like just wrong tires.
Like it could be on and on and on. And then the pro will try to help them or try to answer the question, and they give them a broad response, or not. Let me rephrase that. Not a broad response, but a very direct response, and something that they would think would be the best term. And the guy asking the question takes offense to that as if they're trying to blow them off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like that. You just got to understand that, you know, this is how they pay their bills and this is how they feed their family. So you need to understand that when you're at the races with them.
Yeah, I agree. And just pick your time. Like, don't be afraid to go ask them something. Just make sure, like I said, don't make sure they're just broken qualify, because that's deep to them. Like, these guys want to win. The difference between first and fifth is money. You know,
right, exactly. And TQ as well. Like if they're on a good round in TQ and they're on TQ pace and they break or get taken out, like that's going to hurt them.
But it goes both ways. We shouldn't be afraid to approach them. And usually most of the guys are pretty approachable, but you also got to pick your time when to approach them. And
agreed. And that goes to another thing with why, you know, like the whole positive thing was started, and why, you know, even me as a kid, you know, I grew up watching them race and grew up looking up to those guys. More specifically, as you probably wouldn't be a surprise to you, the guy that I looked up to the most when I was a kid was Jared. It was like I was, you know, watching him race in like 2009 and 2010 and like the Cactus Classic and, you know, 10 scale nationals and all these races. And it's like, I just, you know, he was always still is approachable. And every time that I go over there to ask him something, he gives you the answer. And if he can't talk to you, he'll tell you right then and there. He'll be like, you know what, I'm a little busy right now. And I'll be like, you know what, no worries. But just that vibe and just being straight up and upfront with someone is why I've always had the utmost respect for Jared. And not only Jared, but like Paul and Cody King. Like those two were the ones that I looked up to the most when I started racing. Paul, Cody, and Jared, and they were always like that. And even when I message Paul or I message Cody, like they're always there to help. So that like mentality is what, like I said, should be incorporated into the rest of the pros. Not saying that they're not approachable, but just, you know, being down to earth and being understandable. You know what I mean?
Yep, I agree. And you know, like I say this all the time, the funniest thing is like Joseph. I'm you know, that's who I've traveled with the most, but he is the exact same age. It's so funny. We'll be at a big race, and you know, obviously people, they heard the rumors about Joseph, like he is an asshole, but they think he's some big dick and he just goes around shitting on everybody or something like that. I'll watch a person walk across our pit and look at Joseph. And they'll see him working and they'll maybe make eye contact and then they don't say nothing. And then they'll come back again. Then they're
hesitant to ask him something.
And then they finally get the nerve and they stop and they're like, hey man, they'll start with something like, why do you hate America? Or something like joking. They'll be like, I don't hate America. Or they'll say, I watch your Facebook Live and I was just wondering about this. And the next thing you know, I see them there talking for like 30 minutes. And next thing you know, they're bringing their car over that isn't a JQ. And he's, as his word he likes to use, he calls unfucking somebody's car. And basically what he's doing is just, he says, most of the time when I work on somebody's car, I just make sure all the basics are done right, because that's what I feel is the most important thing. But it's so funny because people just think, I get it. And I just watch it. I've watched it happen over and over. And then I was like, see, and then they're like, yeah, you're not as bad as everybody says you are. And he goes, yeah, see?
Right.
So it's funny, but yeah, definitely, man. So most of these guys are pretty approachable, I think.
I agree. Pretty much all of them. I just, just that gap between pro to a Joe asking questions, I think should be a little bit of a smoother transition. Mm-hmm. Again, not saying that these pros don't already help them, but there's been instances where, sometimes the Joe gets rubbed off in a wrong way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just see it that, all in all, everyone should be helping each other a little bit more, no matter the skill level. Like, take all the sponsors off everyone's shirt and just pretend that no one's sponsored, and just, help each other, help everyone grow as a whole, and try and expand the industry as a whole, because that's the only way we're going to get
to that next
step.
We're all ambassadors. But you know what, man? At the same time, we say this, we expect this from all of us as individuals. I feel the manufacturers need to do it as well.
I agree.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves is that, all right, obviously I hate to keep going on about RCGP, but that was one of the reasons RCGP was formed. It wanted all the manufacturers to come together to help boost the hobby, boost the industry for everybody. Obviously.
And I think, like, for me, watching the RCGP that they had at one of the only ones that I actually thoroughly sat down and watched and had the time to really follow was the one that they had the Philippine Masters at, that track. That facility, when you guys had it there, just the introduction, when I went back and watched the YouTube and the editing and the intro and the vibe that it gave off, dude, it was like watching MotoGP.
Yeah, it was great.
It was the driver intros with where they cut and they have the whole guy holding his car and the information. That to me is a presentable way to show the racing and the way to take it to that next step. You look at the camaraderie that's in the drone community and how anyone gets help from any of these pro, pilots that run for these companies, or not run, but fly for these companies.
Right.
And that's why they're already being broadcasted on national television.
Yeah.
It's because they're all willing not only to help each other, but I think it's not only one. I think it's for the public. It's a little bit more entertaining to watch the drones flying around than watching, qualifying.
Yeah,
I think
because
that's another thing too. And like you explained on the formatting with RCGP is, like you said, meant more for the public to enjoy and to be more captive to that. You know what I mean? To just be more enjoyable for the public to pick up and be like, oh, what's this? And to catch their eye. But I think that's one of the reasons why the drone community took off and is now on national TV, because of the vibe and the atmosphere within the community that led for them to grow into something that it is now.
Yep.
With, the national, the National Drone Racing League, or it's abbreviated.
I think it's called the DRL, Drone Racing League or something like that.
Yeah, that. That's how I think RC can get to. And until the like you said, the companies and the manufacturers as a whole come together and something like that can happen, I think we're still going to be where we are now. But I still think that as a whole, the community's still growing. I think it's still getting there. It's not like it's falling off. I just think like you said, it just takes a little bit of reorganizing and restructuring a little bit to get to that next step. And I think it'll get there.
Yeah, I think so. And that's where clubs and local tracks play a big part.
Agreed.
In all of this, and guys like you and Rizzo that meet these people and help them out, because we're all ambassadors. We all have to do our part, you know. I mean, you don't have to. You can just be an asshole and not help anybody. That's cool.
Yeah, but the ambassador part of it is to an extent, because everyone's an ambassador, but the problem is that with certain people in certain types of roles, you know, you can't help someone, or someone won't listen to you unless you have that declared position by the manufacturer. You know what I mean? Like, there's been instances where, you know, someone will be trying to help somebody, but they won't listen to him because he's not fast.
Yeah, I know.
But then, you know, someone will TQ, or someone will almost beat, like Mayfield, and then they'll come back, and the same guy that asked the other guy the question will come to you, ask him the same question, you'll give him the same reply, and he'll be like, okay, I'm going to try it. But it's like, why didn't you try it when the other guy told you? Just because he's not fast?
Yeah.
So it's like that ambassador, that we're all ambassadors, is true to an extent. And I think that extent is that a lot of people will only listen to people that have a declared position. What I mean by declared position is either the level of skill or their level within the company. So it's like the guy says something and he's like, oh, who was that? Oh, that was a team manager of, I don't know, Tekin, or that was a team manager of X in brand. You know what I mean? Like, they'll only listen to them because of what they, you know, their position. So I think that mentality also needs to change in our industry, where I'm only going to listen to someone because they're fast.
Yeah, and it does. And we've actually talked about that on this podcast. And, you know, I'm not going to say things twice. Like, if you ask, like, you ever find that one guy who's at the track,
the same way. It's like,
he'll ask you, he'll ask that person,
that
person. And I'm like, man, if you don't want if you want everybody's opinion, then fine, go ask everybody. But I'm not going to waste my time telling you something that I know is going to work.
Right.
And then you don't do it. But it's all good, man.
And I mean, the biggest reason why they do that is because of, like I just said, they're trying to get the same answer from someone that is quicker or a better skill level or has a better declared position within that team.
Yep.
So it's like they might ask me the question, and then they might go to someone that has a way better position than I do, or is just more known and has more experience under their belt with the same reply, and will listen to them over me. Yeah. Do I take offense to that? No, not at all. I understand it. I used to be the same way too. Like, I would have a local tell me something as a kid, and then I would go and message, you know, Tebow or, you know, anyone that was really known, and they would give me pretty much the same response, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do that. So we're all guilty of it, but I think that mentality of, you know, I'm only going to listen to this person because he's won this or he works for them, or all of that needs to end, because if you're only taking it that way, then the people that have, you know, like the old, you know, the lost art type skill sets won't be listened to. Like, we have guys at our track that have been racing since the late 80s, 90s that know all the old school tricks. Like, the biggest thing that I was taught that I never even knew was Rizzo showed me a trick with baking soda and CA glue that Ron Shore taught him at Hobby Action. And he told me that he broke a side guard on its ZX7, and Ron Shore showed him a trick that they used to do when running 12 scale back in the day, and they sprinkled a little bit of baking soda, dropped CA glue, and it crystallized and turned into like a super hard, like, they fixed the part. It was like melting new plastic together, and it was solid. And it's like those types of tricks you learn from asking and listening to people that might not be the next world champion anymore, but back in the day they knew their stuff and they know stuff. And it's like, we need to listen to everyone, because maybe that trick that you know, Ron taught Rizzo, if a kid breaks at 10 scale nationals when we go to Ohio, Rizzo's going to have baking soda and CA in his bag, and maybe that could save the kid's run.
I agree, man.
This information about only listening to certain people, that's what I think needs to stop. But the information as a whole of, you know, picking, you know, asking guys that might not be quick and just sitting down and getting to know them and talking to them and, you know, listening to their RC background, you might learn a lot from them, and you might even learn tricks, like I just said, where you'd be like, damn, I would have never thought that would work, because Rizzo showed me, and I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Experience,
that you could do that.
Experience, you can't beat that at anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And that you only learn from sometimes being told that by someone that might not be a pro or a WC anymore. But back in the day, they were those types of guys.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a lot of respect for the guys that have been there, done that. You know, like Derek that works at Kyosho, Mark Pavidis, you know, all the guys that back in the day were the dudes. Like, I don't care that they're not racing anymore or that they might not take it serious. Those guys know what they're talking about, and I'm listening to them. So that mentality, I think, needs to be shared more amongst, you know, the community as a whole, with not being afraid to take that chance and listen to someone that might not be, you know, a Lutz or a Mayfield, or, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I think that should be,
I agree.
you know.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, man. And, you know, I try to learn from what I try to do is learn from everybody I talk to. You know, maybe I don't learn. Maybe I don't learn anything smart, but I learn not to do that. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, people need to just get over it, man. And if somebody has some knowledge to share, sit down and listen. Ask why. Ask a question and stuff like that.
Exactly. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, you know, bring up topics, and don't be afraid to just, you know, learn that person and see what they're about. You know, like, for the longest time, I was afraid to talk to some of these guys. Like, when I was a lot younger, like the first time that I met Jared in 2017, like the guy that I grew up watching race, when I saw him, I didn't really know what to say. Like, I went up to him, and I remember I asked him for a photo, and he was super cool about it. And he was like, yeah, totally. And ever since then, we've been super cool, and he's always there to help, and I'll text him, and we'll chat, and it's like, just, if I would have never asked him, I would have never known him. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, people got to take that chance and just sit down and get to know more people, and get to be more open with people that are outside that circle of, you know, top flight drivers. Like, get to know people at your local track that you didn't talk to before. And you might learn tricks, you might learn more about them. And hey, maybe later down the road, they might be able to do something for you that you would have never thought would have happened.
Exactly. All right, my dude. Before we wrap this up, is there anything you wish to say? Anybody you wish to thank? You know, any advice? You're a young dude, but you've got experience. You know what I mean? So you have some experience. You're doing this on your own. You're in school. Any advice for that young kid that's probably a few years younger than you, is looking to come up and is looking to do the same thing as you? What would you tell him right now?
If there was a younger version of me, or someone out there that's wanting to do, you know, not what I'm doing, but like wanting to do what, like, maybe, you know, Tebow or a Mayfield or Lutz is trying to do, and trying to get to that step, I would say stick to it and don't let other people's opinions of you become your reality.
Yes.
Stick to your plan. Stick to your mindset. If you want it, do what you need to do. Don't let other people's BS get in the way, and just do you, and it'll all come. Like, I used to think that I would never be as good as I am now. Not saying that I'm like the next dude. I've gotten quick. I'm happy with how I'm doing, but I never used to think I would be as good as I am now. And things are starting to click for me, and I'm having a blast while it's coming, and it's all a process. So that would be my response to him, is just let it ride. Do you. Don't let other people tell you, you know, what you can and can't do, and be open and meet new people, and don't be afraid to make new connections.
Awesome. I agree with you. Another thing I like to add to that is, and not just to young people, but to anybody. One thing I've always noticed is that people I had a phrase for it. They don't like to focus on the thing. They'll rather focus on...
You can do 1,000 things good for a person, but they'll only focus on the one thing that you did wrong.
Right, but that kind of transitions to RC is that, yes, you can focus on everything that you're good at and lack focus on the things that you're bad at. So you need to reverse that and practice more on the things you're not good at, and focus less on what you're good at. Does that make sense?
I agree. I think in that elaborates almost on
anything
a video that I saw a while ago that Drake posted, and they like interviewed him, like a quick 20-second clip. And he said that I was never the quickest, but I knew that when I was going to a race that I was the most prepared. So I think that your strengths, if you know that you're very good at prepping your equipment and that you might not be the quickest guy, then stay with your strengths. You know, continue to make sure that your equipment goes to the track 110%, ready to do an hour final at any given moment in nitro buggy, or will hold, 6 minutes of an electric qualifier without coming apart or something happening, because those strengths will continue with you, and then you can focus on developing your weaknesses.
Yep, of course. That's what people have to realize and be able to admit their weaknesses as well. That's a big thing. All right, my dude. Well, let's give some shout outs before we end this.
Yeah. Definitely a huge thank you to all my local buddies that have been with me for a while, that have helped me, that have just done everything. Definitely Andrew Rizzo, Ophir Komarian, Jamie Grayick, my boy Vito, Dion, definitely Mimi Wong for giving me a facility to race for all these years. My buddy Gabriel, just everyone that's been behind me for all the years, my parents, definitely all my sponsors, Kyosho, America, AKA, Byron's, just, everyone, Fatoshi, Derek at Kyosho, just Efren, Zach Rogers, just everyone that's been behind me has been a total blessing, and I'm really thankful for, being and having come as far as I have so far with the whole racing and the industry as a whole. And I'm really thankful to not only those people, but the people that I've looked up to, like, definitely, again, Jared, tremendous friend, Matt Chambers, just everyone that's been there for me. Definitely a big thank you. And of course to you for bringing me on to the podcast and letting me share my slice of the pie on my whole gig with racing and just life as a whole. It just, means a lot.
No worries, man. I appreciate your time. Everybody go check out the Positive RC Movement on Facebook. Share and like it. It's a good thing. Check out Enzo's. It's A1. What is it again? A1
Graphics.
A1 Graphics. He's doing some badass paint work. Help him out, because this is how he supports his racing. So if he's got, when are you gonna start painting again? When are you gonna start taking orders?
I'll probably make a post either today or tomorrow. I actually got to do some nationals bodies for Rizzo and a body for my buddy of mine for Wicked Weekend, so might as well make the post tonight. So yeah. Good
stuff. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. Good luck at the nationals here, and we'll always be in touch. We always hit each other once in a while.
No doubt. We'll definitely still stay in touch and continue to chat and maybe even get back on here again soon. And as always, Nitro's the glory.
Yes, it is. All right, my friend. Talk to you later.
All right, man. Take care.
This is Ryan Lutz, and you are listening to the No Name RC Podcast.
So in this episode, we're keeping it all Northeast. We have Enzo on. We have Jay Zellner. He's on the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. It's all about the Northeast this episode. So there was a big race in Quebec that's happened for a few years now. And I know one of the organizers that's behind it. It's called, they actually have two races. It's a Quebec Indoor Classic and the Quebec Outdoor Classic. I'm probably messed it up somewhere along the way. But joining me to just talk about the race that they had this weekend is Kevin Lachaplle. Did I say your name right?
That's perfect, man.
All right. What's up, Kevin? How was the race this weekend?
It was great. Thanks for having me, man. It's an honor to be here. We had a pretty decent race. Weren't really lucky with the weather, but the way the secret sauce that Bego Raceway has, we were pretty lucky. It was raining, and 20 minutes later, we were racing on a high grip. So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, how long has this race been going on? Because it's happened for a few years.
So the Quebec Classic, it's the 6th edition. The two races that you talked about, which is the Quebec Classic, that's the outdoor in. It's actually on a raceway in the South Shore of Montreal, and then there's the Quebec Indoor Classic, which is another race that's indoor, obviously in a hockey arena that's in Dégelée, Quebec. That's far out east. It's about 3 hours east of Quebec City for people that know where it is.
Okay. So who puts this race all together? What's Bego? Like Bigo? That's how you say it?
Yeah, so that's sort of his nickname. Bego is Eric Deschaines, who's the owner of the BegoRacing.com website. He was actually one of the not title sponsor, but he was on the banners and on the podium picks at the DNC race in 2019. So I think he's the Canadian manager for Team Associated also. He's a pretty good racer, and he's very involved in the different aspects of racing in Quebec for 10 scale. He also has a track for on-road, and he does a lot of 8 scale.
So would you say that this is probably one of the bigger races in Canada?
I was at the Otterville Nitro Blast on Canada Day, which is July 1st. I think that guy was on your podcast also a couple of weeks ago.
Adam Ross.
That was another race that was pretty big, almost 300 entries.
Mm-hmm.
We were aiming for around 350 entries this year, but with the weather, a lot of people backed out, which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
It was still 230 entries so for Quebec, it's by far one of the biggest race. But I think what John does with the Otterville track is also something pretty interesting.
Yeah, there seem to be. I mean, it's you guys in Quebec, then it's the guys in Ontario, Ottawa, and then over in BC. I know they do a lot of racing there near the Washington BC border. But what classes did you guys race? Was it just 8 scale, or did you have 10 scale as well?
We had some 10 scale, but it wasn't as popular. So we did 40 e-buggy, 40 nitro buggy, e-buggy, e-truggy, your favorite class, nitro buggy, nitro truggy, and then we had 2 10 scale classes, which were four-wheel drive buggy, but we had like 12, 13 entries, and we did short course too.
Okay.
Which are 2 classes that are sort of popular in 10 scale, and they brought it outside.
Okay. Now, in years past, you've had some big names come there. I believe last year you had Runafalk and Tessman. This year you got
Sousa also last
Sousa.
year.
Well, he's close. He's not far away from you guys either. He lives near Toronto, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's about a 6-hour drive away. I think
Canada's big, dude. Yeah. You know,
the Washington BC series that you're talking about. It's closer to me to go to Florida or Myrtle Beach than to go to BC.
Oh, I know. I caught a bus across Canada from High Level, Alberta to Toronto, and it took 3 days.
Oh,
okay, it's a bus. It takes longer on a bus, but once we got past Saskatchewan, it was pretty interesting.
There's nothing for like 20-hour drive from Alberta to Ontario.
It's just flat. So cool, Mark. So Mark Sousa was the top guy this weekend. He's the second best driver in Canada. I know he doesn't get much credit, but Mark's a really good driver. He's like just on the cusp of making it. He's definitely putting in a lot of work to get to these races and to compete with these guys. So he came up and he done pretty well.
He's a great driver, but he's also really good people.
He is.
It's important, I think.
I need to get him. I mean, I've had him on the podcast. I interviewed him briefly at DNC. I keep saying I need to get lots of people on the podcast, but it's a work in progress. We got lots of weeks in the year and lots of time to do that. So, Mark came up there. He did pretty well. He won Nitro Buggy and Nitro Truggy.
He pretty much cleaned house with hardware. Every class that he was involved in, he won. He TQ'd and won e-buggy, Nitro Buggy, and Nitro Truggy.
Okay. Well, he did have he almost got beat in Nitro Buggy, I think you said. He had some technical issues and one of the local guys.
He was really, really tight with Damien Lamy, a local fast guy here. It was about a 2-3 turn race, but mechanical issues happened, so
yeah,
it was close.
So this track, I saw some video of this track, and wow, like the dirt is really like, I don't know what you guys put on it, but it looks like asphalt.
Well, last year it was all right, but I think the crew that did the track outdone themselves this year. It was pretty smooth. It didn't blow out DNC and Silver State side wise, but it did. It's off-road, so it's going to get damaged a bit, but they put a linseed oil all over the track, and it makes it waterproof.
Okay.
Which is very important. So we weren't really lucky with weather, so we had some rain for 20, 30 minutes a couple of times, but the way it is, they just blow out the track, and they actually heat it up with like a huge flamethrower.
Yeah.
And it becomes... It rained, and 20 minutes later, we were running on high grip track.
Really?
Which, yeah.
That's interesting. They use oil. They use cooking. I don't know. I want to say cooking oil. I'm probably wrong. But I know in the UK, they use oil on their tracks. And for the same reason, to help dry it out, so it dries out faster. But I would have never have thought of that. So they just walked. Was it multiple guys with flamethrowers? Was it like an Elon Musk flamethrower? Or was it like a...
No, it's just one propane tank, and the guy has a torch that's attached to it.
Right.
And it's just at a couple of places where there's more water.
Mm-hmm.
But like Danny Raposo and Eric worked really hard on the track, and they just blow it out, they heat it up, and we're good to go right after.
Yeah, good stuff. How is the racing community in Quebec? Is it big? How many tracks do you guys have? I know, obviously, when it snows, is that when 8 scale dies and you guys just do 10 scale, or how does that work?
Well, I think the 8 scale season starts with the Quebec Indoor Classic, which is usually end of April, early May. Usually about 3 or 4 weeks after we start racing outside, and it should die out. Like this is the big bash at the end of the year. We're gonna have a couple of races again. I'm actually racing in Ottawa this weekend, but like the racing scene pretty much dies out with the start of school, and everything else starts early September, maybe mid-September. We do have nice days again until mid-October, but it's a crapshoot.
Mm-hmm.
So if it starts raining a lot, it sucks to be outside, you know.
Mm-hmm. But you guys have indoor tracks, right? Are they
Yes,
dirt
we do.
or are they carpet?
A mix of both. We used to have there's 2 tracks that closed down due to leases and a bunch of stuff in the past 12 months that were dirt. I know that one's going to be reopened under new management very soon. We do have carpet and some clay tracks also.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So it seems fairly healthy. Do you guys get a lot of the guys from New York to come up in that area to race with you guys, or do you guys get down to race with them at any time?
Yeah, I think the Classic brings out people from all over the place, and we reciprocate also and go race their race. So the Otterville crew came out, and we came to their race on July 1st. Most of the guys went to race in Rome, New York at CRC Raceway. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Mm-hmm. In mid-June. So these guys came up too. Most of the guys, for the big races, people move a lot. So we were able to host people from pretty much all over the place.
No, that's good. That's good. You know, it's you need to help each other. You need to go to their races so they can come to yours, and that's how it goes. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
Oh yeah, definitely. And Eric, which runs the race, he goes to their race so they can. You can't ask someone in a crew to come to your race and not encourage them, right?
Of course. Cool. Well, let's give a few shout outs to the people who put on the race before we close this up. I know you wanted to say thank you to some people and some sponsors and whatnot.
Yeah, we have a couple of people that really helped us out for the Classic, and without them, I don't think it would be possible. So a huge thanks to the Bego Racing crew and Eric and his family. It was pretty cool because his wife and his kids were there to do food and make sure everybody was fed, and they drank all right. So they made the weekend really fun. Mm-hmm. We had also a couple of really big sponsors that helped us out with Alpha Engines, VP Pro. We had a huge table of raffle prizes. I think everybody won at least one product, and a couple of guys left with many items. So we had Alpha Engines, VP Pro, J Concept that were pretty clutch, Team Associated, X-Ray and a hoodie that helped us out bringing out Mark, and they had a lot of prizes for the people there. We had Graphitech that helped us out with really good quality plaques for trophies, so Jeff would have loved it.
Good.
It was just a team effort, so we're really happy with everyone that helped us out.
Well, I'm glad, man. Put this on your calendars next year, guys. The track,
end of August next year.
End of August. The track looks badass. Obviously, we've been talking about it for months. And if you're in the area, if you want to go to a race, if you want to go to Canada, and I don't know, the Trailer Park boys aren't too far away from there. They're up in New Brunswick. But I'm just a big.
That's 18 hours away, buddy.
Jesus, Canada's too big, man. So big. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. I'm glad you guys had a great race, and I look forward to the upcoming races next year.
Yeah, thank you very much, man.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You are entering the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. The part of the podcast that gives the listeners a platform to talk about RC. Brought to you by Techno RC. Techno RC. Techno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.technorc.com for a complete catalog of their products.
Welcome to the Techno RC Grassroots Racer Spotlight. This is the part of the podcast dedicated to all of the guys out there working Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, 5 to 9. Maybe you're working on the weekends. You're the guys that make this industry happen. The guys that are club racing, the guys that are attending these big races, the guys that buy these cars, that buy these parts, these tires, and everything else that supports this industry, that makes it go around. This segment is dedicated to you guys. This is your time to talk, to say something. If you got something that's pissing you off, you want to get off your chest, this is the part where you do it. If you just want to talk about your RC life and what you've been doing in RC, this is where you do it as well. So this week, we have a guy that I've kind of gotten to know on the internet a little bit. We've talked a little bit. It's funny. We both have something in common that we're going to talk about here. But his name is Jay Zellner. He's from New Jersey. What's up, Jay? How are you?
What up, Keenan? Thanks for having me.
No worries, man. So tell everybody where you're from exactly.
I live in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. It's about 4 or 5 miles from New York City. Basically, I have a view of the New York City skyline. It's jam-packed with people. So,
oh yeah,
got racing in New York. I'm about 20 minutes from the New York border, an hour from the Pennsylvania border. So about every 2-hour drive, I can hit about 5 or 6 different 8-scale tracks. So.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. So, what is one of your favorite tracks that you'd like to go to?
Well, my home track is Barnstormers. That's that race that you posted with your boyfriend, Bermuda and
Quasi.
Anthony Mazzara. Yeah, that's where I started about 12 years ago. My favorite track, honestly, lately is I love LCRC. Kevin and Krista are great people, always have a great time. They put a great program on, great track. And honestly, it's like I always tell my friends, it's like a camping trip because it's a big facility. Everybody brings their campers out. It's kind of like going on a camping trip, but yet we're racing cars right at the track. So I really enjoy my weekends there. Those are my guys' weekends away. You know, that's probably my favorite track.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
cool. I get that. That's in Pennsylvania, right? LCRC.
Yeah, it's in Harrisburg. It's kind of in the center of the state. So you get the Ohio fast guys, you get the Virginia, Maryland fast guys. It's probably about 3 hours from, all the big areas of RC, like Mimi's and Maryland, and you got the Ohio guys, you got the New York guys. So you get big turnout, and like I said, it's a good time. It's literally like a camping trip that's got an RC track on.
Okay.
And an oval track.
Yeah.
And an oval track.
Yeah.
They always do a Thursday night oval race before the big races. Last year, Kevin made a oval car for Drake. It was pretty funny to get out there with like 15 old converted 8 scales.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that.
Oh.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
My boy Toby got me into that a few years ago, and we have a kind of beginner track around here, that family atmosphere, and they have an oval on the outside. So we took old 8 scales, like old Kyosho GT cars. I actually took a cross between an Agama and a Losi, put it together, and you just got to make sure your engines are fat because they'll lean themselves out real quick. But it's good time. It's a good thing to reuse an old car.
Yeah, I've never raced oval. It looks like a lot of fun. Everybody's like, you have to. You can't relax. So I definitely want to try it. I definitely want to try it. The Nitro looks exciting. Yeah.
You can use an old car and use an old car you have and convert it, because Mugens have a GT car, Hot Bodies do. So you just basically get the body and some body mounts and take any old 8 scale they're not using anymore and throw it in the oval and tires, of course. But that's about it. Yeah, that's cool.
I think if I did oval, I'd definitely do Nitro, but I tried that electric sprint cars because I think they look so real, and that's what I like about them.
I've always wanted them. They're just so expensive.
Yeah.
And there's just, maybe if I move, to a different area and they race them more often, like I see Indy RC does them a lot, and a lot in the Midwest. I love them.
And on South,
them. They're so
like
cool.
in the Southeast, like Brent from Beach RC, he's big into that. Max Floor. I'm actually going to get Max on her.
Max was actually from up here. He was from Pennsylvania, and then he moved down there to go work for Tony Stewart at Custom Works. Yeah,
Okay.
I knew Max. I used to race with him at the barn. That's where I started inside 10 scale. Because listen, we're in the Northeast. It gets cold and snowy, so we got to race the little cars in the winter. So I'm actually my job. I'm thinking about transferring into Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
So I actually was on vacation 2 weeks ago, and I met with the manager, and I may be moving down there and hanging out with Brent. I may be moving to Myrtle Beach.
Did you get a chance to get on and check out the Beach RC? Did you go there at all?
No, but I did check out Badlands though.
Okay, yeah, man, go check out Lucas and Beach RC. They got a badass. I've only really raced 10 scale on Astro and on really loose dirt. I've never really raced it on like a really properly prepped 10 scale track like what Beach RC is. Every time I go there, I've been there multiple times. I still haven't driven on the track. I can't believe it.
You got to try it. I mean, honestly, I listen. Like you say, right? Nitro's the glory, and I'd love to race it all year round. But here in the Northeast, we don't really have a choice. Mm-hmm. So if you want to race, you either race on road or you race carpet. There is one local track. We'll get into that in a minute. In my involvement, but we still have one clay track in here, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But,
all right. So you're up in the Northeast. I do know a few guys in the Northeast. We have a few JQ races up there, so I haven't been communicating with them. Plus, I know Toby, I know Enzo, I know Rizzo.
Yes, Rizzo and Enzo. Yep, Rizzo helps us out at our local track. Yep, known Rizzo for a while.
Yeah, I like Enzo and I like Rizzo. Good guys, and obviously like the guys that I know from the JQ racing, which is Reed, Ed when he did race. I hope he does come back racing. Steve, Justin, and we got Jim Mahaffey up there. Jensen Collins always comes down to race as well. And then we got Hino. Josh Hino is up in Connecticut. He's cool. I got to get Hino on this podcast because he's got some cool stories. Ex-pro BMXer, cool guy. He's super intense. So the Northeast is a very healthy. I didn't realize it was so healthy, to be honest with you.
We're doing good. We're doing well. I mean, even on a club race like indoor. I mean, we're getting on a Friday night in the winter. We're getting 75 to 80 guys on a Friday night in our 8 scales. I mean, our 8 scale races, we're getting 300. We're getting 300-400 entries. 250 guys. I mean, it's pretty healthy out here. I mean, we definitely have a lot more choices. When I started, there was basically 4 tracks, and now I would say if I want to drive about 3.5 to 4 hours, I probably have a choice of 9 tracks.
Okay.
So it's pretty healthy up here.
And so you guys got you also connect with the Ohio guys a lot too, right?
Yeah, when we go to Pennsylvania, a lot of the other track I race a lot is Trains and Lanes. That's in Easton. That's about an hour and a half away. LCRC is in the middle of Pennsylvania, so you get a lot of the Ohio guys, Joe and Spencer Eckert, and
and you know what?
Fast. It's cool to watch the young kids getting fast.
Spencer's really good, man. He made the main here at the Nationals here. He's kind of quiet, like nobody really talks about him, but puts him, like they talk about Tyler, they talk about those guys. Tyler and all these guys are fast, but Spencer's putting in work, man. Him and his dad, they're racing. They're going to a lot of places. They're racing heavy. So that's that Midwest area. All that area's got a lot of fast dudes, man. A lot of fast young guys. So, man, tell me, how long have you been into RC for?
Well, so I'm 42. I got into it when I was about 11, 12 years old when Kinwold was real big. And my neighbor, my best friend, had a Hornet or a Grasshopper, one of those. I can't remember now. And so I went to the local hobby shop. My first RC car was a Kyosho Raider. And it wasn't very reliable, broke a lot. So I saved all my money. And Christmas in 1989, my first car was a Losi JRX Pro. And it was right after the JRX 2. And I raced that. We had some carpet tracks. They were like ovals with the wooden jumps, stuff like that, and 12. And of course, I had high school and sports and got into girls and stuff. And then I had a girlfriend in I guess I was about 27 or 28, and he used to bash. And I was like, oh man, I had my rough time partying and doing all that, and I'm like, you know what, that was a really good time. Like, I'm gonna do something that's good for me and have fun, and I was kind of done with the bars and the clubs and all that stuff, and so I went out and I got a Nitro TC3. You said Nitro's the glory,
I had one
right?
of them. I got a TC3.
Yeah.
You know where I got my TC3 from? I'll never forget it. Before Kendall Bennett had A-Main, he was selling, like doing eBay sales and stuff like that. And I bought it from him. I bought a TC3 from him. It was had an M12 in it, one of those Mugen, those Novorossi M12s that Mugen was selling for their gas trucks. And
I remember those.
I got that. Oh man, that car, the TC3 was a badass touring car.
It was reliable, yeah. And I lived on a dead end street. So my neighbor, then he bought like the HPI, whatever the hell,
RS4,
whatever it was. Yeah, RS4, that was it. And we would race him up and down, because we were towards the end of the street. There was only a couple houses after us, so we could race around the yard. And like we knew when a car was coming down the street if they lived beyond us, so we'd have to pull them over. So we would just kind of race around, put cones out, and like make a little course. And I'll never forget that TC3 held up. I went full bore into the sidewalk to the curb. And that thing was fine, and his HPI hit the thing and broke the chassis. Yeah. I was like, well, I bought a good, and you know what? I still have that car today, so that got me back into it. But see, my family races real cars, dirt modifieds, like dirt oval races, and real race cars. And I've always been around my family with that. And now my cousin was actually killed on the back of a bike, and her boyfriend at the time was in the business, so he had the race team. Him and my it was her fiance and her father was still racing. And so I would go on the weekends, and I was working on the race team. And we were driving up, and, he knew I brought the car, and we were playing with it in the parking lot. And he knew I was into RC, so we drive by, and then the Barnstormers, that, like I said, that track that you pushed the video of. So he said, oh, they race RC cars there. So one day, instead of driving up with the race trailer, I decided to take my own car up and stop by, checked it out on the Sunday. It was Saturday night or something like that, and I was hooked. It was over.
Yeah.
I went from having that one into probably 4 or 5 in the first year. So and that's how I got into it.
Yeah. Because
I think it was like 27 or 28 at the time. So
yeah, you ran jam. You was telling me earlier that you ran jamming for a little while too.
Yeah, so then that was the winter time, or going into the winter time, and so I never expected. So in indoor, it's Barnstormers. It's an old barn, right? So it's kind of small. There's a lot of poles to race 10 scale, but it was the only thing we had. We had a track there in Long Island. If you know anything about the city, to get on Long Island, it takes like 3 hours in traffic. Okay. Maybe like 40 minutes in the middle of the night when there's nobody around, but 3 hours during the day because there's just so much congestion.
So it's like LA.
Oh, it's LA is close to here. Here in LA are about the same. Yeah, they're just crazy. It's so much traffic. So you only had really the two choices. So I came out front, and I'm expecting like 40, 50 guys in my first 8 scale. So they hooked me up with I think my first car was a Kyosho. I think they were back on the SP1 back then, 777 SP1.
Yeah.
And I bought that car. I didn't know what I was doing, and that's the one thing about RC, I tell you. So I didn't know I had to break in the engine or anything, and it kept on locking up. Those were back when we were running V specs, or P5s, and I couldn't break it over. And this guy, Justin Williams, he's still a racer for me today. He we still race together. He helped me get the engine. I come out, but I never expected how many people race 8 scale. That was back when we were running gas truck and 8 scale. Yeah. And I come out and there's like 200 people. No way. And I was like, wow, I had no idea RC was this big. And I was hooked. Once I heard that nitro engine for the first time, yep. And then in the beginning, so then I was running jamming. I had an X1. Then I ran that. Then I switched to all jamming. I ran the X1 buggy and the truck. And then the X2 came out. And but I tell you, then Losi came out with that 2.0, and it was like everybody had Losi 2.0.
Yeah, oh no, they came out the first Losi, the 8. Oh man, when the late 8 came out, oh man.
Yeah, that just changed the game. Once Losi and Associate got in the game, and then the Jammin' Days, and then I think that's when Adam switched to run into the Losi, and then I think I still remember that Taylor James was on the box of the X2, right? Was that the X2 he was on the box of?
I don't know, man. I think by the time the X2 came out, I can't remember. It's been so long.
Yeah.
It's been.
Yeah.
I've drank a lot
They
of
were
alcohol.
good cars, though, man. I could not break a Jammin'. I'm telling you. I know you say you're going to have Jammin' Jay on this. I'm telling you, you know what? The best screw kits ever. I still have those off the screws from those Jammin' screws today.
Yeah.
Those screws never wore out. Like, it was such good quality. And I was a new driver, so like, breakage was a big concern, And those guys had the Mugen MSR conversions and stuff on the trucks, and they were breaking them all the time. And Kyosho, the hinge pins were flying off. And that Jammin', listen, I ended up doing real well because the car finished. Those were back in the days where, 12 cars would start and 5 or 6 would finish.
Yeah, they were good cars.
Their Jammin' did real good for me.
Yeah, and their truck was really good, man. My highlight of my career, I was on the track racing against Chad Bradley at the farm too. I was racing against Chad Bradley, Jammin' Jay, Dean Sexton, probably Taylor James, Paul Coleman, Ray Norday, Steve Dunn, Mike Dunn. When I looked on and saw who I was racing against in Truggy, I started shaking. I was like, I shouldn't even be up here. And they lapped me like 6 times. But hey, that's the highlight of my RC career.
Yeah,
Cool.
but you know what though? For back in those days, to finish first, you had a first finish, and a lot of them guys are faster than me. I would let them go, and they would end up breaking, and that Jammin' stayed together. I mean, that was real good. I kind of was sad when it went away, and everybody was going to the Losies, and what happened. And then I was with the Losi for a little bit, and then a friend of mine, was looking for something different. He's like, "Oh, you like Losi? You should try the Gamma." And so I think I bought like a buggy and truggy for like $200 used because nobody knew about it. It's still, it's picking up its name now, but back then nobody knew it. I'm like, okay, I'll try something out different. And I tell you, I ran it there, and that's how I met Billy Tylaska. We started, I remember one of the podcasts you were talking about S-Grid. We started talking on that, or RC Tech, or one of those. And we've been friends ever since, and I've been loyal, to the Agama brand now. It's been real good for me. Same kind of concept, man. The cars stay together, and it's nice to see now. I mean,
I've lots on board. Lots on board. Yeah. The Killix are doing really well over there in Europe. The Skidmore is doing pretty good. Like the Killix are really good. Burkhan, sorry, I was going to say Abdullah. I don't know. I was thinking of his dad.
I can't pronounce any names. So
Burkhan and Borak. Borak finished third here at the Euros. He's good.
Yep. Yeah, I watched that race. That was one of the most. I agree with you. That was one of the most exciting racing. That race, and I believe, remember Thornhill when it was outside before it was covered?
Yes.
There was a truggy race. I don't know if it was 2015. I have it in my saved YouTube where Tessman and Fend went back and forth for 45 minutes. So anybody, if you want to check out a great race, watch that. 45 minutes, those two go back and forth. Yeah. That and the Euros race, bestest race I ever seen.
Yes, that most definitely. But yeah, Agama's definitely on an upswing. Billy and I are friends. Every time I've got to get him on this podcast. So I know I said I was going to do it about a month ago. He's probably telling me off like, Keenan, you're full of shit. But I'm going to get him on her. Every time I see him at the track, I'm like, Billy, smile. And he just like tells me, shut up. Like, I'm smiling. I'm working. And,
he looks like the angry cat, right?
Yeah. But Billy, I like Billy a lot. I'm really happy for him and what's going on. John Hazelwood, I spoke to him. I'm going to get him on the podcast too because he has a very interesting story. So, yeah, Lutz has been good for you guys. Excuse me.
Yeah. See,
it's Lutz.
The thing is, well. You guys and JQ were debating, is it going to sell kits? Well, I've been helping Billy out in the Northeast because, they're being in Texas, trying to recruit racers and this and that. And I'm like, everybody tried the car. I'm like, oh, the car's really good. But everybody's got this, blinders on, Losi associated. And then all of a sudden, Drake went. We would see maybe 1 or 2 Mugens at the track. Drake switched to Mugen, and everybody's got a Mugen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, try it. And like, and Billy and I were talking. I'm like, to sell kits, you really do need that pro to get that exposure because the car is awesome. It is always done. I tell you, I have never broken a plastic part, and it's probably been 8 or 9 years I've been running a Gamma. And listen, when you're paying for your own stuff, you want a car that it's not going to kill you on maintenance and is not going to break.
Of course.
And and it's just a car. There's a lot of car brands out there, but Gamma's really been good for me. They stay together. They're and now with Lutz, I'll tell you, the Gamma team 2020, I can tell you firsthand, everybody comes up. Where's the new car? Let me see the new car. Let me try your car. And I think the Agama team is going to be really big. I know I put a lot of people on to Billy to to buy kits and where to go to Nemo Racing, USA and all that, and to sell the car because I just believe in it. I'm not getting paid for this. I just believe in the car kit that there's the cars out there. So yeah, and listen,
I actually think it's gonna. We talked about it on the podcast, and I agree with Jeff. Like I think I'm pretty sure Lutz can go to Wicked Weekend. Wicked Weekend's kind of it's not gonna have that many guys there, but Lutz has had a really good year, dude. He beat Ongaro. He where else did he do really well? He oh man.
He won not PNB. What's the other one?
He won AMS.
AMS, yep. And he almost won. What was the first race against Tebow? He ran out of gas.
SIC. Yeah.
Yeah, he almost won that.
I think the big one was actually him beating Ongaro in at DXR because Ongaro's the guy. So definitely positive things happening for Agama, Billy. I'm really stoked for Billy. Like when he signed him, I was like, hey man, congratulations. I want to feel like you one day. And I know it's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work, and Billy's putting in the work, and he's a good guy. So
he always has, since he had that job. Since John gave him the job, of starting it here and helping him out. And see the one thing about the Northeast is we have absolute hobbies in this area. So there is a big hot bodies presence, and hot bodies is a good buggy. It really is a good buggy, But so it was kind of hard to get people to like try something different, and then they started trying it. And then once I heard Lutz, everybody. So like you guys were debating, is Lutz really going to sell kits? I'm telling you firsthand. It is, and people are real excited about it. It brought legitimacy to the brand, and it's always been a good brand. I've always believed in it, and Billy's believed in me for sticking with it and being loyal, and that's one thing I really. It's one of the bigger accomplishments in RC as far as sticking with a brand and help promoting it.
Most definitely. There's very few people that have been with a brand for multiple years.
Every year.
It's annoying. I know. I go through it. So
yeah, you know it, and people who can get a better deal.
Yeah, of course.
And it's not about that. It's about what I believe in, and I'm loyal, and that's kind of where it has. And
that's what I say to anybody. I'm like, man, I think all these cars are good. All these cars are good.
In the right hands, they're all capable. Yes.
If that's what you like and that's what you believe in, if you believe in that company and the people that are driving that car and that car suits you, then go for it. If you're just looking for the best deal that you can get, then you're just gonna keep switching cars every 6 months, and that's where loyalty comes into play.
We have so many guys like that in the area. Whoever can give them the best deal,
Yeah, of course. So. I know. I go through it all. All right.
And that's why I said if you're gonna go with this brand, just stick with it. Give it a year or two, and stick with it. So
I think anybody, if you're gonna switch brands, any car, you need to do a year, at least.
At least it takes at least 6 months to learn the car.
Yeah.
What setup, because like you guys talk about it and like what setup's gonna work. Like you need to learn to tune the car for your driving style.
Of course.
And that's I love it. And I'm a tinkerer. I like to tinker, and it's part of my job is to get to find solutions mechanically, and that's what I really enjoy it. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned something to me before we came on our RC46 or something like that.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Okay. This is what happened. So in the Northeast, we have to run indoors for probably 6 months of the year. Is a lot of our dirt tracks have gone away, and they became either switched to turf or carpet. So the one hobby store is Crispy Critters. It's in Fairfield. It's about a half hour from my house. Is he was thinking about closing the doors, and it was the last dirt track left in our area. I mean, none. Even Connecticut, there was 3 tracks. They all closed. South Jersey, Pennsylvania, everybody closed. We were the last one left within probably a 5-hour range. So he was thinking about closing the doors and just moving back to his hobby, just a regular hobby shop, and closing the track and getting rid of the building. So, he approached, my friend Toby's one of my best friends. He just said, we travel together all the time. He's like, I don't want to lose a track. What can we do? So we basically subleased it. And he still kept the hobby shop. It It was quite a few of us, but for the first season, it was my friend Matt Navoso, myself, and Toby, and we ran the track, kept it alive, and we went from having 30 to 40 people on a Friday night to having 70, 80, having and for a 10 scale having 150 people on for a trophy race. So we did real good. We brought 10 scale live. We kept tracks. And then, you know what? I was like, this trend of carpet's going to go away. Yeah, there's going to be a couple of them, but people are going to miss the dirt, you know? And sure enough, I said, I'll give it 2 years, and all these tracks that converted to turf will be back to dirt. It didn't even take 2 years. It took a year.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of that. So now then, because of the success, you know, we were just subleasing the track. The track owner saw the success and said, you know what? You know, if you guys run it, I'd like to take it back over. And we made a decent profit. But listen, I will give anybody credit who runs a track.
It's a lot of work.
It's not only every Friday and Sunday, but it's 3 days during the week. I mean, not just, you know, rebuilding the track and fixing, you know, clay is hard to work with, you know, and repairing it, cleaning the pits, ordering trophies, like, you know, it's a lot of work. And for every one person that says thank you, there's 100 people that complain.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
it
a
may
good
be just
example.
the Northeast, but I think it's everywhere.
Everywhere, dude. Everywhere.
And you know what? So the track owner took the track back, and we still helped him run it, because we did what we wanted. We kept the track alive. You know, Toby got some national recognition. He was on like Live RC and stuff, like some interviews about doing it, because honestly, it was his idea. But I was willing to help when I can. I mean, listen, I have a family and work schedule and stuff, and I can help out as much as I can. But I'm real proud that we saved the track.
Yes, of course.
And now it's doing very well. So now that he took the track back, we kept the RC46 name. So now what we do is we sponsor races. We sponsor races. One thing Toby's doing right now is he put it out there. We have a spec class where it's like a spec motor, because I mean, you know, RC, anything you can get in it, spend $1 million or spend it not. So we're getting together. People have old cars they're not using, and you know, fixing them up and giving them to new people.
Really,
you know, stuff like that. You know, bringing the
new people in,
club atmosphere back.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
putting the club back in club racing.
Yes, that's I would say. That's our mission statement, is everybody wants to go to these big trophy races, and we have 200 entries. But I love, and so does, you know, so a lot of my friends, is we love racing with the same guys every weekend and having fun and, you know, hanging out. And, you know, like 1 week, like in four-wheel drive class, like in electric, there's like 7 or 8 of us that are all pretty fast. And anyone can win in every given night. And honestly, if I don't win, I don't care, as long as it's clean racing and we have fun. That's what it's all about. We're not getting paid for this. I do it for fun. And we want to put club racing back and having fun. And that's kind of what RC46 is about. Having fun in the hobby again. Yeah. Having fun racing, getting together with your buddies, and doing it for the love of the hobby.
Yeah,
the
man.
love of RC.
I agree. I like that. I talked to Toby the other day.
Yeah, you got to get him on.
Yeah, I enjoyed his blog about RCGP. I think he writes really well.
And he's British too.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Accent.
Yeah, I gotta definitely get him on. I guess I'll meet him. I see he's signed up for RCGP, RC2 class. So I guess I'll meet him in California. And Matt Navoso is signed up too. So I'll get to meet him as well. But that's a cool story, man. All right, man.
Yeah, it's I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. We saved the track and trying to bring club racing back.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man, because like you said, running a track is a lot of work. It's thankless. It's a thankless job. I've done it.
100%.
I've built a track. I've held a couple of races. I know how it feels. That's why I'm not worried about building a track right now. So,
There's enough tracks. We don't have to do that. We set out where we what we set out, we accomplished. So.
All right. Well, we kind of run over schedule here, so we're gonna kind of wrap this up. But I wanted to get your opinion. I like to always get the average. Like, even I have young guys on, I have older guys on, but I like to get the I wouldn't say the average guy, but I like to get the grassroots guys. What's their opinion? What would they like to see change in RC right now, or what would they change if they could?
Tires.
Okay. Explain.
Tires. There's way too many choices. Compounds. When I started, we had bow ties. We had crime fighters. We had a couple different compounds. it is very expensive for the grassroots racer. You know, I mean, I don't have a tire deal. I get whatever I can get on a deal, and whatever I can get cheap, and I try to limit it. There are so many choices. I mean, that's the number one racer's complaint, right? Oh, pick the wrong tire, right? Well, there's so many choices. Listen, I understand the companies are out to make money. Totally get it. But I mean, we go to a race on the track, and if the temperature is different or the watering condition is different,
it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you have to bring like $1,000 in tires.
Yes, I agree with you, man.
That's to me is the biggest thing where I've seen where I started 10, 12 years ago to now where it's out of control.
Man,
it's out of control.
I remember back in the day, you just slapped on some crime fighters, and they would last you a race weekend, right? Maybe this is what you did. You went on the crime fighters you had last week, you qualified and practice on. Then you put a new set of crime fighters on for your race, and then you use them again the next race for your But now, I mean, I get it. As technology gets, it's what? Man, dude, I'm a race on a budget. I'm acetoning wheels.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I absolutely. I reuse wheels. I acetone all the time.
Of course.
I found the best little tint. Yeah, you have to, man. That is gone out of control. I mean, when you're spending $500-600 a kit and you're spending like $3,000 or more a year on tires, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Spec tires
is
the way to go.
Spec tires, yes, spec tire racing.
I mean, yes, we need to have races. I think the races like the nationals should be open tire. Like, the world should be open tire, stuff like that. I agree with that. But I think we definitely need to have some more spec tire racing. And that just puts everybody on that equal level. Nobody's got to worry about this person having some special compound or some special tread. But, spec tires are a dying thing. I see a few races are trying to do it. Obviously, RCGP is doing it, RC2. I see a race in Thornhill's doing it here in a couple of weeks. Maybe in a couple of months.
We have one coming up at Sunday at the barn. They did it at Trains, spec tire. And honestly, too, the other thing is you learn who can actually set up their car to the conditions.
Yeah, of course.
That's another thing.
And adapt to the conditions. So it's good.
Now tires is the number one thing. You change your tire and your cars are completely different. Or just change the compound, same tread pattern, and it becomes like the biggest stress of a race weekend is what tire am I going to run this race?
Oh yeah, I know. And it's funny when people are chasing setup and they're not going on a completely wrong tire. So
exactly.
It works both ways. All right, dude. Mm-hmm. Well, It's been a pleasure talking to you. Would you like to shout out to some people before we sign off on this, sir?
Yeah, I definitely like my local tracks, Cruising RC, the turf track in our area, and Crispy Critters in Fairfield, Barnstormers, Rohan. You're doing a great job. You don't get appreciated enough. Trains and Lanes, all them guys, Dwayne and everybody who puts it out, and definitely like to thank Billy Tylaska for all the help he's given me over the years. My buddies, my close friends Matt and Toby, who were already mentioned, and for you guys for putting out this great podcast. I tell you, every week I drive around a lot for work, and I look forward to it coming out. I'm always like, oh man, I've been through all the old ones. When you coming out with a new one? So I appreciate what you're doing. It definitely helps, and even JQ for giving us setup help for us common folk.
yeah. JQ, the sheriff, Rupert Pumpernickels. But I appreciate it, man. We cannot do it without you guys, the listeners. I call you guys the hashtag NNRC squad. And that's all the people that listen and support the podcast. And this segment is for you guys. Like I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to have your say on the podcast, because I know when I used to listen to podcasts before, I'd be like, man, I really want to talk, but it's hard to get on there. I want to have the average guy. I'm the average guy. I'm still the average guy. Like, I'm nobody. I'm just some guy who can talk on a mic, But I always wanted to have my say, and I was happy. I was super happy to come up with this segment. I was happy when Techno said they would sponsor it. And I'm loving
thank you, Techno, for giving us a chance to tell us. So, like you said, I always like that you say what you like about changing the industry, and all those things that that the average racer, they're listening to the pros, but what we're going on, I appreciate the opportunity to voice our opinion.
Of course, because that's what you guys have one, and you should. We all have an opinion. All right, and you know what, Billy Tylaska, smile, because I say that to you every time I see you. All right, man. Hey, thank you for coming on. It's been great getting to know you. I love your energy, dude. And we always stay in contact, Jay. Oh, but you know what?
That.
Oh, we forgot to mention what we had in common.
What?
The wizard.
What,
dude.
the wizard?
You was the only one who knew about that when I said it on the podcast.
Yeah, when you were talking about that, I had to message you right away, man. I remember that as a kid. I'm like, oh, that's so cool,
Yeah.
And that it was a bald little guy, right? Like
no, it was the guy from Willow. It was the guy from Willow.
Yes, what it is. Yes, yeah. And he was driving a car under that thing, like and it was going through traffic, and all the little kids were like looking out the window, like, wow, what is? I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm like, RC making the mainstream.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that that RCGP and what they're doing there and like make it to the masses. Listen, I love all motorsports, and I think some of these some of these races are excited, and I think a lot of people, especially the motocross crowd, like I agree with you, man. If we put it to that dynamic, all those people watching, I think they would really be into it, and we
got to take it to them, man.
Out.
We got to take it to them. We can't just expect them to come there. We got to take it to the masses. We got to show them what we're doing. We got to stop hiding what we're doing. We're not nerds in the field anymore, as JQ says.
Well, that's what every girl that I've ever dated, she always thinks that it's like 4 or 5 dudes in like a parking lot of a Target on a weekend, like driving around, and they come to the track and they're like, oh my God, there's like 200 people here.
Yeah.
Like they had no idea. It's it's like some underground community. It's like you live in a whole underground lifestyle. And
exactly. It is. You exactly explained it. Exactly. I say it's like an underground dogfighting ring, but we are like one big family at the end of the day. But all right, my brother. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. It was a great chat with you, and keep on racing, keep having fun, and doing your thing up there in the Northeast.
Yeah, and you keep on putting out these great podcasts and keeping us entertained at our work and our long drives.
I'm trying. Thank you. All right, dude. Talk to you later.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Now we're about to go into the JQ Racing Rant. This is the uncensored part of the podcast. We will not censor it. It has cursing, banter, jokes, you name it. Pretty much what we would be talking about in the pits if we were at a race. I do understand some young kids listen to this podcast. Maybe this isn't suitable for them, and that's fine. If you're a parent, you don't mind your kids listening to it, that's cool too. We don't mind that as well. So, if this ends your podcast listening for the night or for the episode, we appreciate your support. Please continue to support us. We strive to bring content weekly for you guys, the listeners, the people that love RC. So thank you for your support. If you're going on to the JQ Racing Rant, enjoy it because it's always fun to get on there and talk smack to Joseph or Jeff or whatever we think's going on in RC. We try to rant, but we also try to offer solutions. So, remember, Nitro's the glory, E-Buggy pays the bills, and see you next week.
We are now at that point of the show where you should fasten those seatbelts and put your big boy pants on. Whoa. Things are about to get serious. It's time for the JQ Racing Rant.
This is the JQ Racing Rant. This is the part of the podcast that's R-rated. This is the part of the podcast where you need your big boy pants, or if you're a girl, big girl panties, because this is uncensored, this is raw, and it's meant to be funny, and we're meant to rant, but offer solutions. So, joining us this week, fresh off his first Facebook Live in about 8 months, is Rupert Pumpernickel, a.k.a. Joseph Quagrain, and Jeff Keaton, who's driving around Idaho doing, I don't know what, working probably. What's up, Jeffrey? What's up, Joseph?
Not
6
too
months.
much.
Can you answer? All right. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
I am doing fan-freaking-tastic. A little
Don't
bummed
lie.
today.
Don't
little
lie.
fucking bummed today.
Yeah. Rupert, how are you? You just did a Facebook Live. I'm sure you're all pumped, full of adrenaline, just getting your Facebook fix on. Jeez, you just, surprised you haven't, yeah. Now you're going to go.
I'm fantastic.
You're going to go.
Why? I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic because Keaton is mad because he missed my Facebook Live because he's blocked.
Now, hold on. I am not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, no,
because
that makes me happy.
I'm disappointed because you did a Facebook Live, and I have no idea what the hell it was, but I'm sure it's a bunch of bullshit and a bunch of blah, 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 blah. But
It was
I'm
really
pretty
good,
sure
actually.
you probably had some setup stuff in there because that's the only fucking thing you know how to do. And it would have been nice to be able to go on there and tell you how stupid you are. Because
Exactly, and that's why you're not there.
You know what?
But
I'm
you know,
so- feeling
you
so
can
good
say what
about
you
this.
want. You miss me. You fucking miss
Of
me.
course he
I know
does.
you do.
Nope.
Hey,
I really don't.
I am starting a free the Jeff Keaton movement. Free the Keaton. Free the Keaton.
He's
Unban
not
him.
the Keaton. He doesn't deserve that. It's just free Keaton.
Hey, free
He's just the
Keaton.
Keaton.
You know, you are a jailer of utmost. You're just being mean now, Joseph. You know.
Yes, he's being very, very mean, and people are starting to notice it. And you know what? Your own little fan base. Your own little fan base is going to start turning on you soon. And you know, the only person I don't ever see turning on you is going to be your little bitch, Max. Like he will never turn on you, but everybody else is going to turn on you eventually because you're wrong. You're wrong in keeping me blocked on Facebook.
If he doesn't win a Finnish national soon, I think he'll turn on me.
Hey, Jeff, JQ won a race this weekend.
I saw a podium picture with him standing so proud on top. And my question is I'm guessing, and strictly a guess here. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing there's probably like 5 cars in the main and 2 broke. And
12 cars.
12 cars in the main. So it's like an RCGP, but no talent.
No, I mean there's obviously more cars in the race, just 12 in the main.
Oh, okay. I got you.
To be fair, Jeff, he has not won one of these Finnish nationals in a long time.
Well, I haven't really attended.
Yeah, but the
Yeah, I
ones
was
you have
gonna say he
attended,
hasn't been to one,
you
has
don't win them. You know. So.
Well, my question is how? Why did you meet Max? I thought Max was supposed to be so much.
I don't know.
Max has got some engine issues, man. He keeps. I don't know what's going on with his engine.
That's his excuse. That's his. In the beginning, I just pulled away.
Yeah, he said he was. He said he didn't know he was that far behind you. He was gaining on you.
That's the best excuse I've ever heard. I didn't know I was that close. Otherwise, I've driven faster. Oh, so you have to know what the gap is for you to try.
You're gonna be like. You're going to be like Palpatine.
Hey, which engine are you running right now, JQ? Which
I'm
one?
running the Type R.
The what? Oh, the
OS Type R.
The OS Type. What the fuck
or
is
R
that?
Type. I don't know what the hell. They have 2. They have the low cooling head one, which is S.
Oh,
and the
okay.
Regular cooling head is R.
Okay. Oh.
Yep.
All right.
Just curious.
So, what's up, Jeff? You got a race coming up soon in about 2 weeks. Up there at the NCT.
I'll be up in Burlington, Washington, which is way the hell up there by the Canadian border. I think I'm gonna go to Vancouver. I'm gonna go up a day early and go to Vancouver.
You should. It's beautiful. It looks beautiful.
I've never been there.
Yeah. Go up there and have a look. I've heard a lot of good things about BC. You're gonna get to drive on a Joey C track because he's coming up there to build a track.
Yep.
Is this the last NCT race, I believe, or
no? There's one more.
Okay.
We have Yakima.
Yes.
I just like saying that.
Why do you always hijack the JQ Racing Rant and talk about irrelevant stuff?
It's not irrelevant because these guys have a really good health.
The fact that you're on this, it's the whole thing's irrelevant. So it was way more relevant when you were fucking off, scared to talk to me because you don't want to be around.
But I was never scared to talk to you.
You know what?
It's just that I wasn't available, and I guess he had you on for some podcast.
You know what?
Deal.
I did get some feedback on our rant last week, though. I really did.
What was last week's?
Well, I didn't get the feedback that I thought we was going to get. I thought we was going to get some lashback,
Right.
especially over your comment.
Last week's one.
But a lot of people, a few people hit me up, and they disagree with you, Jeff. They feel that this is a sport. I saw that Jeff and Runnerfolk's old man got at it for a little bit. And then I had a guy who used to be an ex-motocross guy hit me up and say, of course motocross has races.
All right. I figured this out too, by the way. the whole hobby sport thing.
Mm.
So tonight I'm going to go race 10 scale carpet. All right.
Did you get a 10 scale car?
I did.
What did you get?
Associated.
Okay.
You know, I'm still a fanboy. So anyway, I figured out the sport hobby part. So we are going to go with 8 scale racing is a sport, 10 scale racing is a hobby.
Why?
How's that?
Why?
How's that?
No,
because like I'm going tonight to go race, and like I don't give a shit. Like it's just something to do. Like I'm not taking it serious. I'm going with my car, a radio, a charger, and a battery. I don't have parts. I don't have shit. I'm not even taking tools. I'm just showing up with my car, battery, charger, and radio. And if I break, I'm gonna fucking go home.
Sounds like
that's a hobby.
Sounds like how Dagani shows up for a touring car race.
Yeah, right. That sounds legit.
I figured it out.
This hit me today. I'm like, I'm gonna go do my hobby.
Yeah. But a few people, one guy was like, why do you think motocross and supercross have races? It's to promote, to sell bikes, to sell equipment, to do all of that. And people follow it. So I did have some feedback. A few people disagreed with you. But like I said, I didn't get the lashback that I thought I was going to get. So kudos to you, Joseph. You kind of got on me for not censoring it. You know, I was a little bit worried about posting last week's rant. But, you know.
The fact that someone was going to sell parts for.
Oh God!
Was that the comment you were worried about?
Probably that trading parts for drugs thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Probably. All right.
So now you're going to have to censor this one too. Sorry.
Hey, you know though, you still got to get him on because then you can ask him that question directly. You can be like, "Yo, Cody, you know, congrats on your new position. Are you? How's the parts business doing?"
Oh my God.
I think that would probably cross the line.
Yeah. So, all right. So this week's rant, I really wanted to rant about tin cans, but I kind of already did. But they released the cost of the control tire for the Worlds coming up, and it's in October. No, when is it? September, right?
Yes, September.
So, go ahead, Joseph, because this is kind of your rant. I saw you post about it on Facebook.
I didn't see that post, by the way, so I'm a little behind because you know I can't I'm not privy to.
Well, it's two things that are kind of got me dumbfounded, but go ahead, Joseph.
Yeah, so here's the deal. What's the point of control tires? What's the point? It's to make life easier and cheaper for the racer. Okay, so you don't need to bring all these tires to the race. Let's save on cost. That's like the motivation to have control tires is really to save money. Let's make it cheaper to race. The tire war is killing the hobby, killing the fun. You have to have so many tires, but waste money on tires that you're not going to run because you just need to have all of them, right? It's difficult to travel to races when you have to have 2 suitcases full of tires. You know, it sucks. So let's make it easy. Let's save people money, and let's make the racing closer also when everyone's on the same tire. Okay, cool. So then, think about the 10 scale Worlds. They are basically running new sets of tires every run. Okay, and they run like 1 million times, probably like 10 to 12 times a race. So 10 to 12 times in 2-wheel drive and then 4-wheel drive. So they released the tire information. Guess how much a set costs? Now, normally, what do the old hole shots with the old style foam cost normally? A set, like what? $30?
They've got to be cheaper than
retail
for 2. No, it's got to be less than that.
Are you talking about a full set front and rear?
Yeah.
Oh. I would say $40.
This is not even the closed cell foam. This is like your mattress foam.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
When I used to race, it was like $10. So let's say it's like $15 now. So that's $30. I remember them being like €12 or something.
What about wheels? So let's say $40 of wheels.
Yeah. Well, they aren't selling the wheels.
Okay.
This is only tires.
Okay.
You have to add the wheels to this price.
Oh, okay.
So one pair of tires, 10 scale tires, so Proline whole shots with your mattress foam, €20.
And dollars is?
I don't know, $22. I don't know. Let's see.
So
I mean, that's ridiculous.
So it's $22 a pair?
Without tires. Without wheels, sorry.
Without wheels.
Yeah. $22 a pair. So get this.
Who's getting the money? Who are you buying them from? Are you buying them from IFMAR? Are you buying them from the host track?
I think you're buying them from the host track. I don't know what the split
Huddy's
is
getting that money.
Yeah.
Well, that explains why they're so fucking expensive.
But this is the thing. The problem is, if you go there and you want to be competitive, you might end up spending over $1,000 just on tires. That's ridiculous.
For 10
How is
scale.
that saving money? Like, the whole point is to save money, but now it's actually probably costing more money because of this tire rule. Like, we have a control tire, you have to buy them at the race. So, yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we just...
Even for the companies, like, let's say the companies who have a bunch of sponsored drivers and they pay for their drivers' tires, they're going to spend thousands of dollars on tires now.
Imagine, like, J Concepts is going to have to pay for Cavalieri, Rivkin, Mayfield.
I think it would be associated. It'd be the chassis sponsors that's going to be flipping the tab.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
But still, the chassis still has to come out, like, out of pocket big time. Yeah. So... It's still expensive. I mean, you just released the price of the RCGP tires, and that's $35 for a pre-mounted set of 4.
I know. You know.
Yeah, that's 8 scale pre-glued.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about. I know it's not unglued 10 scale tires.
Why we're on that subject really quick? Seems like you have to bring up RCGP every chance you fucking get. My question there is why are you doing pre-mounts?
Why?
Yeah. Why?
It's awesome. It's dialed.
I know. So what happens? And this is just me curiosity, because curiosity. So what happens if I buy a set of tires, or I get my set with my entry, and I'm going out and I'm on a TQ run?
Entry.
Okay. Whatever. I get my fucking tires. Yeah, and I put them on my car, and I go out, and I'm on an epic run, and I'm on a TQ run, and the fucking tire comes unglued.
That's a good question.
Like, who's going to get the blame for that?
Well, that sucks for you. That run's basically done unless you're good at driving with tires coming off, and then it gets replaced.
But that my question is why would you put yourself in a situation where it's going to cause a problem? Because it's going to happen at some point. Right? Maybe not the dude's going to be on the TQ run.
HB tires held up. They didn't come unglued. T-Pro didn't come unglued, and Hot Race didn't come unglued. So
you've
hoping
done
Proline doesn't come unglued.
So every race has been pre-mounts?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, well, I think that, to me, I was shocked when I saw that, because I got the email today about it, and I'm like, why the fuck would they do pre-mounts and open themselves up for a controversy or an argument or a fight over glued tires? Like,
we don't want people messing around. Like, everyone's running the same wheel and same foam, and we mark the wheel, so it's controlled. It's easy, like less chance of people messing around and cheating,
modifying the foams or something like that. Or everybody still stays.
Everyone's on the same thing. They just open the bag, put them on the car, and race,
and hope they stay glued.
Yeah, they'll stay glued.
All right, back to your 10 scale pitch. Because I got a lot to say about the whole 10 scale world.
Okay, so just to open this thing, let's see. Front four-wheel drive whole shot or front four-wheel drive world's whole shot 2.0.
That's just the four-wheel drive.
This is so good. Okay, front four-wheel drive World's whole shot 2.0, 2.2 four-wheel drive front M3 foam inserts. Okay, yeah,
Right.
that's the tire. 19 euros, and then the rear is 20 euros.
Yeah, now on four-wheel, they'll have to run a full set every time they put their car on the track.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's
So that's
insane.
39 euros, and then you have to have wheels, obviously.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, that's
a lot of money.
Dude, and they're not limited, right? They're not limiting on their tires.
So, I mean, this is you have to limit the amount of sets that you're allowed to use, or you have to set the price to a decent, well below retail price. Because like it is now, the tires are expensive. Plus, you're going to end up running, new sets every run, pretty much, as far as I can tell. And that's going to be expensive. It's going to be over $1,000 just in tire expenses for the race. That's ridiculous. It shouldn't cost you over $1,000 in tires to go to a race. That's a problem.
What goes into becoming the spec tire for such a prestigious event? Like, what do you have to do?
I don't know exactly.
You have any idea, Jeff?
They probably ask the tire manufacturers, what can you do?
Yeah.
You want to be the control tire, and that's it.
Well, I don't know. The other controversy that I saw is that
to me, I always thought that the issue the thing with spec tires is you typically get a set with an entry fee, and then you get all your other sets at a discount. So like when I was going to run a spec tire race, I shopped it around to Hot Race, J Concepts, AKA, and they all gave me bids on how much it's going to cost me per set. And then I added like $2 or $3 per set. And then that's what I was going to sell them at the track for. So it came to like, and this was 8-scale tires. So it came to like, it was going to be roughly about $15 or $16 a pair for pre-mount, or not pre-mounts, but that was wheels and tires. So, spec tire racing is supposed to be way cheaper. Obviously, it's not at the Worlds.
it's still going to come down to who can spend the most money on tires.
Yeah.
So,
well, they're all going to do. I mean, they're all going to be equal, because all the major players, anybody who's going to be in the A main at the Worlds, they're all going to be one-run tire guys, right? Everybody else doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. It's the Worlds. It's the top at that race. It's the top 12 people
10
that matter, and the top 12 people are all going to run one-run tires. So it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole problem. Like, the point of the tire rule is to make it so some talented kid can have his breakout performance, at any big race, and he can do it without spending over $1,000 on tires. That's kind of the point. You try to sort of level the playing field more. Okay, we all run the same tires. We cut down costs. So the big teams, sponsored drivers, these guys, they don't have a huge advantage. Anyone can do this. That's kind of the point. And that's not happening now.
No.
I mean, I can just talk for myself, for example. Okay, World's on a dirt track indoors in Europe. I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's go. Let's do this. If there was even a 10% chance of me going, yeah, 0% chance I'm going to go and spend $1,000 on tires.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll change their prices now. I know a lot of people have been complaining about
No, they
it.
won't. The only thing that's going to help is if, for whatever reason, old tires are faster. Like, you run your tires multiple times, and that's actually a good thing. Okay, then it's great. But I don't know. I don't see that happening.
No.
With
Well,
no
keep in
additive,
mind-
I think you have to run new tires every time.
Keep in mind, the Worlds is at Huddy Arena, and X-Ray's having everything to do with this race, and everything X-Ray does is expensive. So it's not a surprise either, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Well,
they're going to make their money because that's what they do.
Yeah, tin cans. It's all about tin cans. Another surprise that I saw was that Martin Hootie, which you told me is Urad's son. Urad, I don't know how to say it, Uraj or whatever. His son, Uri, is the race director. Couldn't IFMAR get somebody that is like neutral to be there? I'm not saying he's gonna be not neutral, but I mean, we're talking like we're talking about a company that does anything to win, like, you know, anything. They have definitely been in the gray area in many different races, even as far as above.
Bruno won the full drive worlds by, well, he didn't win because he cut the track, but he did cut the track and win. You know, it was a mistake, but it was like, oh, he ended up in the wrong lane, just kind of turned around, waited a bit, and went. He didn't really suffer the consequences of his mistake. You know, so imagine something like this happens and someone protests. Yeah, but I really doubt that there'll be any penalties handed out.
We're talking about a company that has...
I mean, doesn't the race director has the last say, right? So that's kind of a big position to give a Hootie.
Well, to me, the whole thing doesn't make sense. I mean, X-Ray, talking about putting yourself up for huge failure in every way possible. If X-Ray wins, they're still going to lose, because if they win, it's because they cheated in some way. Even if they didn't, like, they could be perfectly innocent, and Bruno can just go out and dominate the race and be just fast, and the car can be just good. But they're never going to get the credit for winning the worlds because it's on their track, and they've been shady in the past. They'll be shady at this race. I mean, it's just how they are. So why would he put himself and the company in that position? I don't understand it. There's a motive behind it that we haven't seen yet, and it's going to come out in this race, and it's going to be the best TV ever. Like, it is going to be so awesome to see all the manufacturers freaking out about the shady shit that's going to go on at this race, because it's going to happen.
I mean,
what shady stuff do you think will happen?
Well, so, you know, a couple things. First of all, it's IFMAR, it's a world, and it's 10 scale. You have the trifecta of drama. Like, every world, every 10 scale, every world, even 8 scale worlds, but 10 scale specifically always seems to bring out more controversies or more issues or problems or social media lash outs and all that stuff. It just does. Like, even the last 10 scale worlds, Mayfield was like ready to pack his shit up and go home because the track was so difficult in that one section where there was the double, whatever it was. And, you know, he ended up winning the damn race. But, you know, there was that moment where he just, like, he wasn't having fun. He didn't want to be there. The race sucked. And it turned around and he fucking won. And it'll be the same thing here where people, the traction, everybody's bitching about the traction, right? There's no traction on this track. And so you can't tell me that X-Ray isn't designing a car or making their cars work on this traction, because everybody else apparently can. Even though Associated has like 5 different platforms, from a rear motor to a motor in the front of the freaking car, basically. But they're still going to try and run the lay-down transmissions, or they're still going to try and run the fastest car they can on the shittiest surface that there is.
No,
and you can't tell me that X-Ray's not going to...
Yeah, go on.
X-Ray, they have the advantage. Like, they're practicing on the actual world's track or not, it's the surface, it's still the dirt that's going to determine the winner. Mm-hmm. It's whoever's going to be able to generate the best traction under those circumstances. And unless you're practicing on that shit all the time and dialing your cars in, it's going to be a struggle, and it's going to be a struggle for everybody.
They can literally
Someone should show up with a rear motor 2-wheel drive. That'd be cool.
Well,
they're running
that
old
was-
school tires, so
That's what I was joking about. Like, I mean, it would be funny as hell to see, a Mayfield or somebody of that caliber run a rear motor car and make the main and podium with it. Maybe not necessarily win, but that would be, to me, that would be good for racing. Like, that would be good for RC.
Mm-hmm. You know what? The thing is that Hootie can literally go out there, test tomorrow, go back to their factory and make the parts that they need and have it there in a few hours to make their cars better. Like, if AE has 5 different platforms, X-Ray has got 20. I know. And if they don't need it, I'm sure they'll make parts. Like, it's what, 5-7 days, the event? No, longer than that. It's 10 days because it's 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive. Like, if they need something made, you think they're not going to go back to the factory and have them people working overtime to make a part? Like, I mean, I just feel this whole, and from generally, like, I interviewed Neil Craig, and just generally, these guys just can't, like, even the competitors that are going are just like, well, yeah, it's there. It's nothing we can do. We're just going to make the best of it. That seems to be the attitude going into this world, and I think that's silly. Like, we shouldn't.
Excited about it. Nobody wants to be there. Nobody is excited about it. Nobody wants to race on it because the surface sucks that bad. I mean, I went on, like, I was laughing because I listened to Spencer going. He went on a little rant on
RIP,
the Radio Impound podcast.
Yeah.
And his little rant was just talking about how shitty the traction was. And, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, this kid's like one of the fastest in the world. And he's bitching about the traction, and he's bitching about the design that we're going. So we're going with the design of the cars is all the traction is generated through the tires now. It's no longer generated with the car. So it's 10 scale is all about tires, right? We all agree on that. But the problem is when you go to a track like this, where now the car has to generate the traction and it's not so much the tires, these guys are lost. Like, Spencer's lost. Dustin was lost. And it's because we've gone so far in one direction, and they're bitching that, how can IFMAR pick a track? Now, I agree in the sense that IFMAR shouldn't be having the host track be a manufacturer. Like, that just shouldn't happen. But It is what it is. So his bitch was, how can IFMAR select a track that doesn't suit the current design of the 10 scale off-road vehicles? And to me, that's a shitty comment. Like, you have, AE has every version platform that you can possibly think of. There's no way that they can't go there with a good car and be competitive and race and win. But our current generation, being like the Spencers, they're so set on, we have to run this lay down transmission or a lay back transmission. And, they love the tire game. They love working on tires and making the tires work for that specific track instead of making the car work for that specific track. And that's what cracks me up about today's younger racer is it's all about tires, 100%. And they've gotten away from the car part of it. And because IFMAR picks a track that has shitty traction, and his favorite car is the laydown car or layback car, and he might not have to be able to run that car. He may have to run a stand-up 3-gear or 4-gear transmission, or God forbid the kid have to run a fucking rear motor car. Like, holy shit, how bad would that be?
Hey, maybe we'll see it like it used to be in the old days in one-off worlds cars.
Yeah. I mean,
which would be cool, I think, to that point.
You can't tell me Huddy's not going to have that. X-Ray's not going to have a one-off worlds car that's designed for this track. There's no way.
Sure. I'm pretty sure they will.
So, but again, going back to them, he's in a lose-lose situation. If they win, it's going to be tainted because it's their home track, or there's going to be some controversy, or everybody's just going to assume that they cheated somehow, some way, just because that's the way that the trend is going. Mm-hmm. If they lose, how shitty does that make them look when they can't even win on their own track? Yeah. Like, there's no win for them to host this race and now RD the race. Like,
maybe it's financial.
Well, obviously there's some financial to it because you're charging $30 a set of tires, or a pair of tires.
You know what surprises me even more is Ty Tessman is not over there on this track.
How do you know?
Well, yeah, how do you know?
I don't know that.
How do you know that they haven't run the exact world's layout for like 3 months?
We don't know because nobody knows.
We don't know.
You know,
they just do a warm-up layout and this layout and go back to the layout they had for their testing. And
it's just so much controversy mired around this whole race. So much controversy mired around X-ray period. You know, let's be realistic. They got caught cheating at the Euros in 2015, and they sacrificed Walanka. Then it went before that. It was the deal with the tires at the 8-scale Worlds of Martin Beyer. Then it was Tessman at Neo Buggy, which you got the blame for somehow, some way, Joseph. And then we have the warm-up race where they get caught doing 200 and something laps and only testing, supposed to be testing the track, but it was only changed one jump. So this whole race is just mired in pure controversy. And I agree with you, Jeff. They lose if they win. If they lose, they still lose. You know what I mean? I don't see this as a win-win for X-Ray at all.
No, it's gonna be funny. Like for us, right? The podcasts of the world and the bloggers of the world, like this is the most epic race ever because there's going to be so much good content coming from it.
I just want to see, like, on average, how many sets of tires do people run so we can do the math and figure out how much money was made.
Well, in two-wheel, it'll be just rears. They're not going to go through front tires.
Yeah, probably not.
And so
is it even controlled? It's not even controlled. Front tires aren't controlled, I think.
Oh, they're not? No, they weren't in Chico at that World. I know that, but
yeah, I think it's.
But yeah, I mean, who knows? Like, it's going to be. I would assume that on this particular service, with it being so slick, a new tire is going to generate more traction than a used tire.
Yeah,
for the most part. So, I can see it being a one-run tire every time they go on the track.
Yeah, the whole race director thing. The race director thing, yeah, it's a bit sketchy. It could definitely be sketchy. But you know what? That wouldn't work. Let's say Keenan was race director. I was thinking about this. Like, imagine Keenan was race director at RCGP or whatever. It would actually suck for me. Like, he would be worse. It would be worse for us.
I would be like,
JQ if Keenan was race director.
JQ started his car, stop and go.
Yeah. Jesus.
Look,
it's
JQ,
a whole different mentality.
JQ left the pit lane too fast, stop and go. Black flag,
yeah.
Black flag.
Yeah.
No, but
it's just non-stop.
But even if I did, it would just show favoritism towards JQ Racing. Period. And
well, until the race actually starts and they see, like, you're a complete cock. Doing the opposite.
Oh, I'd give out some penalties. I'd be like,
yeah, this is for all the years of abuse.
Hey, by the way, when are you getting your penalty points for your actions at the race?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course you don't.
No, I don't. I really don't.
Hey, so Jeff, anything else you want to add? Anything you noticed over the last week since we talked that you wanted to rant about, or something that piqued your interest? I know you've been busy. You went back to Florida for a little bit.
No, I mean, not really. Just until we get this, we got a race coming up. So as soon as we have that, then I'll have more to discuss. I'm gonna go debut my carpet racing.
Yeah. Did you get a brand new car? What car? Which one did you get? Or did you get a second-hand one?
Just the B6.
Okay.
.1.
Joseph has a new car too. He was putting it together on his Facebook Live. Free the Jeff, so he can.
I wouldn't know because he still won't unblock me. Which
I'll consider it after the RCGP season.
Really? Are you going to pit for him at RCGP? you're probably gonna have to. You and Degani are gonna have to keep him calm.
Yeah. Bring your headset.
Am I pitting for JQ or is JQ pitting for me?
Right, because we're gonna reverse roles.
Yeah, because Degani and I are going to run RCGP, and JQ and Max are going to run the RC2 because they fucking
You're still on
suck.
that planet. So you're still on that planet, are you?
Well, it can't look. It's about the brand. You guys are doing. You're making the brand look bad. Like at least.
What do you mean?
At least let somebody else try and do something.
I'm gonna beat Cole Ogden somehow and finish.
You're
fifth
doing
in the
well.
series.
All you're doing is taking out other drivers every race.
He's still in the points. He's still in the points.
You want to teach him a lesson. You're trying to.
Yeah, well,
you're trying to be a teacher instead of a driver.
Yeah, but it actually works. So I'm gonna definitely use this at Thunder Rally too.
Well, that's fine. Go teach and let the racers race. You can be the teacher. Let the racers race.
Hey, so Jeff,
teaching, qualifying, and racing the mains.
So Jeff, if you were Beach RC and you could pick any two American racers, who would you pick to represent you at RCGP in October?
If I was, well, I would pick the two best. So I'd pick probably Tessman and Mayfield.
Wow. Okay. That's a good pick, actually.
Because I would want to win.
I'd pick Lutz and Mayfield.
Yeah, I think I'd pick Lutz and Mayfield because those are the two guys that have outright beat Ongaro this year. Two American guys, anyway, that have outright beat him this year. Lutz at DXR and Mayfield at DNC.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with that. Lutz is a good pick, but I don't know how. Well, Lutz would do good at Thunder Alley. He does good on that style track.
Yeah,
he does good.
Okay, let's talk about. I got something we can talk about. Let's talk about Wicked Weekend coming up this weekend.
Okay.
So here.
Okay, I'm gonna go to bed.
No. Stay online.
No, wait.
Stay online.
This has to do with race entry count.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I'm staying.
I heard that the entry count is really low for Wicked Weekend this year from years past. I mean, normally that race gets high 6s, low 700s,
mm-hmm.
and they're way down in the 500 or less category.
How much is an entry?
$75.
75.
Which is the cheapest of all the races, I believe.
No, SIC is the cheapest.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, and the reason, and there's only two pros. So Cole Ogden and Lutz are the only two pros that are going to be there.
Really?
Yep.
Holy shit. Keenan, we should have gone to this race.
Well,
so the reason for all that, from my understanding and from what I've heard talking to people on why they're not going, is because the Roar 10 scale Nats is the following weekend.
Okay.
So everybody is going to the 10 scale Nats, and the 10 scale Nats is in Ohio. So that's why Bornhorst isn't going,
mm-hmm.
because he's practicing 10 scale and getting it. It's kind of in his home track. Like Tyler Jones and that next tier of those fast guys, all of them
mm-hmm.
are testing 10 scale and over at the 10 scale track. Tebow's not going because he's with Bornhorst testing. So
I did look on RC sign up. It is very low counts.
Yeah,
but I know that change is getting closer to the race as well.
It will. I mean, it will, but it's not going to be changing that much. And what I noticed it because I can always tell when Dave starts stressing about entries because he starts doing more social media stuff. So he started doing Facebook Lives, when they were putting up the driver stand to try and gain interest and start amping up the race, right? And the minute he did that, that was the first thing I thought, oh, entry count must be low. Dave's trying to boost, gain some momentum this last week going into the race.
Well,
and then sure enough, I start looking and checking and talking to some of the factory guys and finding out who's going and who's not. And with just Lutz and Cole being the two fast factory guys, I mean, that explains it.
Hey, you know what?
So are you saying that the entries are low because factory guys aren't going and then people think, I'm not going to go?
No, I'm saying entries are low because like a lot of like the Tyler Joneses of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys are all going to the 10 scale nats.
So you're going to see a lot of people in the A final at Wicked Weekend and Pro class that normally wouldn't make it. Now, Max,
yeah. So like I think like you're like Lee, like in Florida, so like Lee Sester, Julian might have a good breakout race. Schimmel, those guys.
Max Flora is going. Decent. He's going to race Nitro for the first time in a long time. He can make it, and he's good at e-buggy. He can make e-buggy, man.
Hey, when is that Southern Nats race? The one we went to?
September. Yes.
End of September.
Yeah.
And
you should know, Joseph, more than anybody.
I don't know. You know what? Isn't Drake going?
Drake will go to this.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. He doesn't talk to me, so
you're asking the wrong people here, Joseph. Why are you trying to now?
I could ask his wife.
Anyway, what was that? What was the point about this entry thing?
So the point is Wicked Weekend is probably next to PNB. It's the biggest race time entertainment race. It's probably it's the second biggest regional race on the East Coast, and their entry count's going to be super low this weekend. My question there becomes is it going to make the race itself better because there's less entries, less people, less weight on the driver's stand. Everything's going to be, the race program should go faster. Everything should be run a little bit smoother. But is it going to make the overall experience of Wicked Weekend better because there's less entries?
Yes, it's probably going to be the best Wicked Weekend ever.
And then everybody's going to say it's so awesome, and then it's going to have 800 entries next year.
Yeah, and then it's going to be
see that.
Terrible.
I guess.
But I'm going to drop it on next week's podcast, but I did actually talk to the guy who's putting on that Blue Ridge Nationals race in Virginia in November.
Oh, yeah.
So he wanted to clear the air with Dave and Bobby and how he's, his race format that he's doing. So we did record it. I'm going to air it on next week's podcast because like this week it's pretty full. Joseph and I did a 45-minute intro. We're doing a 45-minute.
Well, that was a waste.
Yeah, I know. We're probably going to delete that.
Fucking anything with that dude is just it's a waste.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, how many people did you get on your Facebook Live today?
It was like between 100 and 150 the whole time.
I didn't get to see it. I was out, drinking margaritas with my wife because it's her birthday today.
Well, I'm sure you didn't miss anything. Just like I didn't miss anything.
Free the Jeff.
Just keep telling yourself that.
All right. So nothing else to say?
I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
RCGP at Thunder Alley is going to be fun. Not because of the race. The race is going to be what it is. It's just another fucking race. It ain't nothing big. It ain't nothing major.
Wow.
But it's going to be fun.
It's going to be the first 8-scale race in America with a schedule and with just one class. That's going to be awesome.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is.
You can't make that claim. No, you can't make that claim. That is not true.
Okay, who has had a schedule?
The Roarnets.
Do they actually follow you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, again,
apart from
you're
the
fucking
Nationals,
making claims that you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Because I've never been there and it can't have happened that way. I don't believe you.
Well, you don't believe anything I say, so, your fucking opinion really doesn't matter.
It's going to be fun because it's California. It's Thunder Alley. It's an iconic track. I've never driven there. Have you driven there, Jeff?
Yeah, I've been there. I went there for a Roar Nationals one time, and you know what I can't wait, because you know for that race, the Drake is going to lurk around. He's going to show up, and he's going to be like
talking with someone like
he's going to be like nonchalant, just like, hey, how you doing? And I am going to make it my personal mission to go talk to him. Like, I'm going to just be like, what up, buddy? And watch him punch me in the face. It's going to be fucking awesome. I can't wait.
You'll make the highlight reel. We need to have a bet, like, does he show up or not? Like, do we see him at the race?
All I'm asking is that you guys, your camera guys, whoever's going to be there, if he shows up, you film him punching me. Because I want it on tape.
You and Joseph are exactly the same.
Yeah.
I want, you guys do the best 30-second ads. I've said this for a while now. You guys do the best 30-second ads. I want, when he decks me, I want that shit on video, and I want to be put in one of your 30-second ads.
Oh, it's going to be on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
You two are so much alike. Like
I'll probably make the highlight reel too. And then we can have a poll, like, which knockout was better?
I'm sorry for my face hitting your fist so hard. My you idiots.
I would take a punch from Drake just for that purpose. Like, it would just be awesome. Like, it would be awesome.
It would be. Can you imagine, like, that internet
insane.
would melt? I think Facebook would shut down if a video surfaced of Drake going to the RCGP and then him just punching us in the face. Both of us.
It would be awesome.
Breaking my glasses. My lenses just fall out.
Oh my god.
That would be awesome.
It would be.
Oh yeah.
That would make RCGP all worth it this entire year.
I think so too.
You sadistic bastards. All right. Well.
All right. Peace out. I gotta go carpet racing.
All right. Well, have fun. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Joseph, for your time. Thank you all to the No Name RC podcast listeners. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you to our sponsors. And tune in next week for episode number 39. And I don't know who our guest is going to be. I'm working on that. So thank you for all the support. And remember, Nitro is the glory, but e-buggy pays the bills. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding. And Joseph,
I've been wondering about that because I have some bills that need to be paid.
Well, maybe if you got a e-buggy actually in production mode, like with a box and a manual, and we could sell it, then
they're sold out pretty much already.
Yeah. Sold all 12 of them.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't make a production batch of 12.
You always have you always want to have the last word. Goodbye.
Thank God.
All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. Please tune in next time for more fresh RC content. And if you can, please also support us on patreon.com/thequagrain. We will greatly appreciate it. And don't forget, Nitro is the glory.